The sun has set and the lights have come on here at the World Center of Racing as we are prepared for the final step in setting the field for tomorrow afternoon's running of the Great American Sim Race. Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Dad Bod Studios Duels from Daytona in the PGR 500. Drivers have worked all week through heat races and now through LCQs as well as the pole shootout last night to get to this point. Now just one step away from putting themselves on the grid for the biggest super speedway race of the year. And now all that remains is two 60-lap night races here from Daytona to put themselves in position to race tomorrow for $3,000, the trophy, and the pleasure of being called a crown jewel winner in PGR eSports. Welcome inside the PGR eSports broadcast booth for today's coverage. My name is Dawson Wise, and I'll be taking you through all of the action for both duels here today. Joining me in the booth for this first duel race is going to be Michael Triscaro. And Mike, we're on camera for the first time. That's how you know the races are getting a little bit bigger. 60 laps here in this duel race, some of the biggest names in the event set to take to the track.
Oh man, I wish I was running here tonight, but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to it. We have a huge name here in duel number one, Roger Carruth, junior motorsports driver here in real life. It's going to be awesome to watch him kind of compete with a lot of the guys in our community that do this night in, night out. So we're really going to see a test here tonight for not only our guys, but Roger Carruth, who hasn't gone up against a lot of these guys that, found with these super speedways each and every night. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to see, is how these groups are going to come together now to form these duels with everything on the line. The top 20 tonight gets you into tomorrow's PGR 500.
Of course, 5 drivers already locked into the field for the PGR 500. We are going to head down trackside here very shortly. Before that, do want to give a huge shout out to the Duels at Daytona sponsor, Dad Bod Studios. Tonight's duels are proudly brought to you by Dad Bod Studios, built by a proud Christian, devoted husband and father. When he's not live streaming, you'll find him fishing, gaming with friends, or grinding every day in the fight to keep cancer away. This one's bigger than racing. This one's about faith, family, and never backing down. Dad Bod Studios, real life, real battles, real heart. Thanks to Justin Johnson and the folks at Dad Bod Studios for their support of the PGR 500, PGR eSports, and tonight's duel races. We'll have to jump now quickly down to track level. It's time to meet the starting grid for the first of 2 duel races that will set the field for tomorrow's PGR 500. The field is rolled off the grid. Let's get right down to business. On the pole for duel race number 1 from Daytona, he will also be the pole sitter for tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500 by virtue of his win in last night's pole shootout. It's James Bomar in the 20 machine. To his outside, it will be Jacob Dunn in the 33, and one of the heat winners from earlier in the week. Row 2, it's Heat 3's winner, Sean Conklin in the 54. Alongside him, it's Stephen Miles, one of the fastest drivers so far in Speed Weeks. He'll roll from 4th. Row 3, going to be Aaron Brown in the 018, the Heat 5 winner and second in last night's pole shootout. He will start outside pole for tomorrow afternoon's 500 miler. And alongside him, it's the Heat 6 winner, Ethan Eckert, in car number 12. Back on row 4, that's where you'll find the driver for Junior Motorsports, Rajah Carruth. He'll roll from 7th here this evening. It'll be Hunter Hastings alongside him in the 8th position. And on row 10, rounding out the top 10, it's Brock Whitehead in the 31 and DJ Thomas in the 19.
Starting number 11th spot today, it's the Cinderella story of Speed Weeks. Tucker McClendon. To his outside, it'll be the 60, the man from the Navy. It's Jeff Merck. Rolling off 13th here tonight, it'll be Bryce Rayner in the 87. And to his outside, it'll be the Jack Shacks, Landon Velicki. Rolling off 15th, it'll be the 44 of Matthew Taylor. And to his outside, rolling off in 16th, the 57 of Alexander Cranky. In 17th tonight, Rocky Boyd will roll off in the 16 car, and rolling off 18th will be the 20 of Cole Larson. Rolling off 19th in the 23, it'll be Timothy Harper. And to his outside, man out of Columbus, Ohio, the 18 of Wyatt Gray.
Beating right along, row 11, going to be Garrett Caswell in the 087. Alongside him, it's Max Dinda in car number 48. Row 12, Trace Paderni, one of the stories of the week so far in the 79. Alongside him, the MMS entry of Josh McCullough. Back on row number 13, it's David Flanagan for the Jack Shack and Adam Garza in car number 8. Row 14, Edward Sanchez in the 26 alongside Trey Whitehead in the what will be the 23. It's the 32 on your timing and scoring. Row 15 to be Caden Diedrich in the 024, and rounding out the top 30 is Michael Tucker.
31st tonight, rolling off is Paul Gallimore in the 11th. And rolling off 32nd, it's the 10 car of Yaroslav Donskoy. Rolling off 33rd tonight, the 82 of Talon Drake to his outside. Rolling off 34th, it'll be Austin Call. Jack Simpson tonight in the 240 car. He'll start 35th as Justin Champagne will roll off 36th. Starting 37th tonight will be Craig Jancek. And Mark Von Dell races his way in with an LCQ provisional. He'll roll off 38th. Brian Hennings for VRX will roll off in 39th. As Larson Parker will roll off in 40th.
And one final car on the grid is the Justin Johnson machine that will receive the DadBod Studios provisional, being the dual sponsor, so he will get to start this evening's duel with a chance to get into the PGR 500 tomorrow afternoon. Again, this is the final step required. If you're not one of the 5 drivers that's already in, let's tell you those once more. You heard the front row. James Bomar will start on pole tomorrow afternoon, and Aaron Brown will start in second by virtue of their win and second place finish in last night's pole shootout race. The other 3 drivers already locked in are provisional drivers. One, of course, being the defending winner of the race, Daniel Falkingham. He was unable to advance through his heat race, so as such, he'll have to lean on the defending champions provisional on Sunday afternoon. The other 2 are going to be title sponsor provisionals. Chris Blanchard is in the field tomorrow by virtue of that provisional for that towing company, and the Chris Carter Racing Flying Aces provisional has been given to the captain for Dega Pro's John Ward. So 5 drivers already in comfortable positions. 2 will race here in Duel 1, of course, Bomar and Brown, but with already being on the front row, those 2 obviously cannot be eliminated here in this race. A lot of big names. The duels typically pool together a lot of the big names that have run well throughout the week. And look, Mike, right now, the nerves inside the car, 60 laps, 100% fuel. A fuel stop is going to come into play in this one, a green-white checkered, but no fast repairs. The Team Watson Racing setup's fixed setup under the car. Mike, you've been in this spot before. Half a lap to green. Drivers getting ready to set the field for the 500-miler tomorrow. What is going through these guys' heads?
A lot right now. You know, we've had these heats, these LCQs, but one thing it did not include was a pit stop. Unless you were repairing damage, that could be the difference here in tonight's race. If we get a long green flag run and we have to pit under green, I'll tell you right now, you're going to see some big names make a lot of mistakes here, as we have yet to come to pit lane under green. Obviously, we should see some tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see one here tonight in one of these duels. Nonetheless, you're still going to have to come down and get fuel, and you know, sliding that box even under caution could be a problem as well. So that's going to be a big development here in duel number 1 and duel number 2 tonight.
Green flag pit stops have not been a factor all weekend. They will be a factor tonight, likely, and a factor for sure tomorrow over 500 miles. It's time to set the field for the PGR 500 under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Duel race number 1 is underway. Green flag, we're racing from Daytona. Field will rocket into turn 3 for the first time on this opening lap. Miles will have the lead over Ethan Eckert on the outside lane. Inside is Bomar, and then Conklin as the third lane starts to work out back. Wyatt Gray, Adam Garza, one other car is up there with them, trying to work his way to the front. I want to say it is the Tucker machine. Now another one going to jump out. Jeff Merck wants a shot at the action. Lap 1 complete. Some guys went to the back. I saw Cole Larson and a couple of other cars drop backwards, but some guys are wanting to come forward 4 rows of 3 wide at the front.
Yeah, it's 3 wide early, especially there in the front of the pack. That could prove to be disastrous here in the early going. We'll see how it all works out. I think the right move right now for some of these drivers would be to bail to the back With Jeff Merck in the 60, he is on the move to the front as he's getting pushed by the 18 of Wyatt Gray. The bottom lane's going to back up just a little bit as the 24, Stephen Miles, out of turn 4 in the lead with Ethan Eckert.
I'll tell you, Stephen Miles, one of the drivers I put on the radar this week to watch in terms of being a favorite. Again, not only to make the race tomorrow, but to win the race tomorrow. And so far, he is living up to the billing. First big block of the evening, it's going to go to Ethan Eckert. He's going to block Jeff Merck on the top side. He'll go to the push of Miles. Miles will move up to the fence as well. As you watch some of the guys out back, more than happy to spectate some of the racing here towards the front of the field. Miles leads the field off turn 2. Wyatt Gray will jump down to the middle, but nobody going with him. Jeff Merck kind of hung in no man's land up against the outside wall. Gray will split him. Merck will have Garza as Gray goes to the help now of Eckert and Miles. Those three working together tonight in Duel 1, trying to make it into the PGR 500. Topside is Merck with Garza and the aforementioned Tucker alongside the Saber Barrier. Eckert turns right. He wants the lead. Ethan Eckert, the pole sitter of last year's Great American Sim Race, goes to the point of Duel race number 1. Here's the field, comes back down towards turn number 1. It's lap 4 on the board already. Eckert, Merck, Garza, Miles, and now Bomar comes forward on the inside with Conklin in tow.
That middle lane surging at the moment. They're nose to tail, 4 deep, all touching here off the turn. The race is on. These guys not even giving an inch at the moment. Here comes the high side, though. It is going to be the 8 of Adam Garza. Ethan Eckert back to the top to block his run. That opens up the door for the 60 of Merck. Here comes the 20 on the bottom. We stay 3 wide out of 2.
Yeah, continuing to be 3 wide as the field rockets back down towards the start-finish line. Eckert goes to block Merck. A bit of a miscalculation if he wanted to keep the lead. That'll send Adam Garza to the point. Some of Adam Garza's first laps led since he led a bunch of laps in the SummerSlam 499 back in August in the Gen 6. Michael Tucker turns left in the Price Chopper Chevrolet. New colors for Tucker for the dual race here this afternoon. He will go to the lead briefly. He'll have Eckert as his help. Topside is Garza. He brings one of the LCQ drivers to the front, Yaroslav Donskoy. He'll bring Austin Call, a pair of LCQ drivers coming to the front, looking to make an impact early in this dual race on the top side of the racetrack. Garza gets released by Donskoy there into turn 3. He'll go way out front of the field as the outside and middle look to save some temp. Garza will block Eckert in the middle. No, he'll go back to the fence with the help of Donskoy. Tucker's on the bottom with Bomar and Conklin. Eckert in the middle with Merck and Miles. And Garza is topside with Donskoy, Austin Call, and the emerging Justin Champagne. Remember, Champagne started both the SummerSlam 499 and last year's PGR 500. Looking to make it 3 straight crown jewel starts with the Don Julio Camry. But it's all now Ethan Eckert in the center. That's one of the upstarts of Money Racing. Goes back to the point on the back straightaway.
Yeah, biggest movers of this race, Michael Tucker in second, up 28 positions from the drop of the green flag. Right behind him, Adam Garza, as they exchange blows on the racetrack, up 24 positions. And you got Yaroslav Donskoy up 26. I mean, crazy. These guys are coming from the back right to the front here early on in duel number 1. They are wasting no time. As I've alluded to a couple times already tonight, the racing up front is tremendous. And that's what you're going to get when you put a field as talented as this one together. And no fast repairs. And everything on the line to get to tomorrow's feature. These guys putting on a show right now to start here tonight.
Tell you what, all except one are still in his lead draft as Yaroslav Donskoy briefly goes out front, stack up on the bottom as they try to push Adam Garza. Eckert turns right around that Robin Hood Toyota up on the outside. So Eckert goes to the top middle lane, going to stack big time right here back around Gray, Hastings, Thomas, and others, but they keep it straight and keep going the right direction. Garza continues to lead off 4. All but one car are in this lead pack. Jacob Dunn had some connection issues on the pace laps, if you saw in the 33. He received an EOL penalty and still has yet to resolve those issues. He continues to run well to the back of the field. Everyone else is hanging on to the lead draft. Now there is a second pack back around where Rajah Caruth and Timothy Harper are running on the racetrack right now. There you see the Dunn machine. He'll go 1 lap down in the 33, and this is going to get interesting because there's some 3 wide further back. Dunn will bail to the apron. The field gets lucky. They catch him on the back straightaway. No harm, no foul for car number 33 as he goes 1 lap down. But again, everyone hanging on the lead trap, but about 10 to 12 cars at the back of this field have decided to back out. Again, watch what's happening in front of them, but take it easy for the early stages of this race. Again, the opening run, no fuel stop required, but eventually the green flag pit stop will come into play at some point around lap 40 of this dual race, similar to last year. Michael Tucker goes out front now in the push from Aaron Brown, who's come forward, poked his nose into clean air. James Bomar is the top lane leader about 6 lanes back as Donskoy pushes Brown clear for the lead. A trio of plus 20 or more movers here inside the top 4 early. Tucker, Garza, and Donskoy showing what they want to do early in this race. Trey Whitehead as well is up 22. 4th in line on the bottom, the blue and black Toyota. Still 2 wide, about 9 rows deep. Then it's the 3 wide line with Bomar, Call, Champagne, Diedrich, and Landon Velicki, who dropped all the way to the tail end, towards the tail end of this field. As he runs in the middle now, he drops out of that top lane. Simplification here off turn 4. It's about 8 rows of 2 wide, make it 6. Well, all of a sudden, Adam Garza and Ethan Eckert both find spots in line. They're going to jump back up and vacate their spots on the bottom. It's Garza that leads the top back to turn 1 with Donskoy as the pusher, but it's all Michael Tucker out front. Great performance from him so far, but for how long? Here comes Aaron Brown.
Aaron Brown, he has had a great speed week so far, and if his luck and skill can continue, he can lock himself in. Well, actually, he is locked in. He's going to actually start second tomorrow in the feature with the DQs last night in the pole shootout race. So Aaron Brown, like I said, getting a lot of luck on his side this week. We'll see if it continues here, but nonetheless, he will be okay for tomorrow. The real question too here, Dawson, as I'm thinking about it in my mind, some of these drivers may be a little bit farther back. If they can get with some teammates here tonight, you know, that fuel window will open up a little bit, obviously earlier. I believe it about 40-ish laps, give or take, with the fuel cell here. I wonder if you'll see, you know, some drivers actually, some teams come down a little bit earlier and try to get on a different strategy, being that we've had obviously quite a few cautions between the heats and the LCQs, to see if they could cycle to the front if they are able to complete their pit stops and stay on the lead lap. Audio issues.
Flipping audio. Oh, Mike, I just got it fixed, right? She said that.
We don't want
to technical difficulties.
Boss man on the spot here in one of the biggest races of the year, Dawson. So, yeah, I had a little mild panic attack here, but we're going to pick it back up here with Sean Conklin leading off turn 4.
No worries at all, Mike. Again, technical difficulties are always going to happen with technology. It's hot and heavy up at the front of the field. Ethan Eckert leads back towards turn 1. He's got Stephen Miles on his back bumper. Again, those two teammates. They've got Wyatt Gray, their teammate, with them on the bottom side. Garza in the center. He's got Whitehead. Velicki, by the way, is driven all the way through the field in the center lane as he comes forward 3rd in the middle in that Jack Shack entry. Jeff Merck is with him. Donskoy relegated to the top. Sean Conklin is with them. And then that's where you'll find Rocky Boyd. His first trip to the front, almost a moment there for Donskoy. That was as close as it gets with 48 to go, as he almost got turned on the bumper of Sean Conklin. Miles turned left on his teammate. He wants to lead. Eckert up to the push of Garza. Brown on the bottom with Tucker. But they are fading in that bottom lane. They're already 4 rows deep. And we're getting into the pattern that we had earlier in the LCQs, where for some reason that bottom lane struggles poorly until they get a bunch more cars down there with fresh temperatures. Merck will try it, but nobody going with him. Bottom and middle still dominant. Garza turns left. He wants to lead in 1.
I'll tell you what, Jeff Merck's going to have a rear view mirror full of another 18 car in this pack. It's Larson Parker up 24 positions as well. So we've had some big movement in this race. Seems like a lot of guys came from the back to get to the front, and a lot of the guys that started in the front have gone to the back. But one guy still up front, and that is Ethan Eckert, up 5 positions. He's going to lead that high lane in front here of the 23 car. And a big surge on the bottom for Adam Garza. A huge push from Jeff Merck. They're going to inch right ahead of Ethan Eckert. Here comes the 3rd lane again. Right now, Dawson, this bottom lane actually coming back to life.
Yeah, it actually does come back to life, and I was going to kind of get into why. And this earlier that we saw in the LCQs, it just takes longer for the lines to get the run back. Where in the heat races, the track was so hot that oftentimes you'd see the bottom get a run, then the middle would get a run about a half a lap later when the bottom had to stop pushing. With a cooler track temp being under the lights tonight, it's just under 70 degrees. With that track temp being lower, the lines are taking longer to get those runs generated, but now they're starting to really race it out up front. This is multiple lines that have worked over the past couple of laps. Yaroslav Donskoy way out front now. He got the push from Conklin. Top will start to fade. Donskoy up to block Jeff Merck in the center as Whitehead takes the run up around Ethan Eckert. That's 4 rows deep in line, right about the 6th position on the racetrack. Garza's on the bottom side. He's got Brown. Michael Tucker up bottom to middle to go with the Merck and Donskoy machines. Kroenke will now be the 3rd car on the bottom. Other car down there is Larson Parker. We have not seen him yet in this first dual race. He's trying to work his way forward. Top lane really fading with Whitehead and company. As they go backwards, Tucker drops to the bottom. Not much help there. A lot of disorganized moves, mainly from top to bottom. The only group that I've really been able to see make coordinated moves, you'll see one right there. Miles, Eckert, and Gray have been on it so far. That's another good one from Eckert and Miles. They're running really well, but Donskoy throws the block, and that's going to allow Michael Tucker to go back to the point. Merck drifts up the racetrack. Some contact there between he and Miles. Wyatt Gray almost got into that as well. It's all fine and good. We're almost a third of the way in, and it has been great racing so far.
Yeah, it really has. I think it's the talent level has just increased. You know, those LCQs, the heats, it's a mixed bag of a lot of different driver talents throughout iRacing, but when you get here to the duels, a lot of the cream rises to the top. I know we had a lot of big names bow out of the event early this year, but there's still a host of them remaining, including a lot in the money racing community. And right now, they're all proving that they are truly the best on iRacing when it comes to super speedways. Right now, Raja Karuth back on the move. He's hovering just outside of the transfer positions at the moment. And if you look around that transfer spots right now, you see DJ Thomas as well as Bomar, who has his starting spot tomorrow guaranteed. You also see Matthew Taylor, and they're given right there. They're given a lot of room right now. These guys obviously know that we are still far or ways away from the checkered flag in this one. So it's nice to see these guys riding just a little bit, even though we are 3 wide. They are definitely giving space at the moment compared to those 30-lap heats and LCQs where you just saw a lot of pushing and shoving.
Well, look, Mike, this is definitely a great sign of things to come. If this is the racing to expect not only later in Duel 2, but for 500 miles tomorrow, if these guys could keep it up. You'll remember back last year in the PGR 500, this race began with a 90-lap run of green flag racing, which saw some of the most chaotic racing we've ever seen in PGR history. So far in this duel race, it's living up to the billing once again on this new Gen 7 Aero package. As Garza jumps out of line, he wants the push of Donskoy. Eckert, Miles, and Whitehead for the first time tonight really are behind the 8 ball. They're going backwards, back around to where Tucker McClendon is, halfway deep in the field. Up front, Aaron Brown takes the right hand out of line from around Michael Tucker, and it's Aaron Brown that goes to the point. We continue to watch that mid-pack group starting to fade to the bottom. The aggression going down a little bit surprising to me from Ethan Eckert to jump to the bottom and maintain for now in that AutoZone Mustang. As we begin to talk about pit strategy, it's possible, and I wanted to bring this up because I don't know if guys are going to try it tonight or not, that we might have a short pit strategy. See Merck jump to the inside. Larson Parker's going to jump to the inside. 2x2 simplification most of the way back, but here comes the third line again. It was only a deke for Rocky Boyd, and Jancic is the odd man out. He'll be going to the back of the field as long as nobody lets him in line. He might have a hole right here in front of Whitehead. We'll see if Jancic can jump in line. He will in the 97 right there, the body armor Chevrolet. 2x2 simplification down the back straightaway as the field calms down for the first time really in this duel race. And as they calm down, talking about pit strategy, I wondered if anyone would try the short pit. The window opens here shortly. Let's go downstairs quickly while we're under green. We're hearing some talk of pit strategy. Our pit reporter Tyler Vickery has some more about that. Tyler, what are you hearing on the radio?
Yeah, right now I'm hearing a lot of radio chatter between like Adam Garza as well as a few of the other top drivers that's running alongside Adam Garza. A lot of the times they're talking about trying to having 12.5 gallons of fuel they feel like they're going to need, knowing they're going to be up front, burning a lot of fuel. Would not be surprised if they start hitting that window. Garza's going to be one of those first few drivers coming in. Other reports listening in to Raja Caruth's radio a few times as well. Raja's trying to play more of the safe side, trying to play what he can, not get himself caught up in any kind of 3-wide situations, and I believe that's what a lot of other drivers are thinking about too. Same with Ethan Eckert and as well as the MBG group.
Well, thank you, Tyler, for that report. Tyler Vickery, of course, our pit reporter. And right as we come back from him, it's getting a little bit fast and furious at the front again. Austin Call to the race lead of dual race number 1, one of the best stories of Speed Weeks to this point. Again, a guy that showed up and showed out in one of the recruitment races back a few weeks ago, now goes to the lead of dual race number 1 as he tries to get into the PGR 500, one of the underdogs in the field. He'll be challenged on the inside by Aaron Brown. He's got Garza. Outside is Call, the emerging Rocky Boyd. Wyatt Gray is back at the front as well. He brings Hunter Hastings with him, the yellow and blue 44, about 4 rows deep in the middle lane. Conklin is with them. Brock Whitehead emerges to the front also. Call jumps to the inside, content to run right there in front of Aaron Brown, and it will now be Rocky Boyd to the point of dual race number 1, another new leader. I feel like we're in the double digits already with leaders in this race. Wyatt Gray going to look around his outside. We're going to might add another one to the tally here to 1. It feels like almost half the field has led a lap in this race.
Yeah, and that's awesome to see. You know, this is some really good racing. If you step back and just take a watch at this tonight, these guys putting on some high quality super speedway racing here, 23 laps in of 60. And I mentioned that, you know, Dawson, in our pre-race, we could see the first green flag stop here of the week. And, you know, really right now you see that just double file racing and then single file racing in the back. I mean, I think these guys are just thinking about those pit stops now. They're they're comfortable. They've gotten their laps in. They've gone 3 wide. They've, you know, beaten banged all over the racetrack, and I think these guys now are saying, hey, we got to calm our nerves a little bit because we're going to have a massive pit stop. We usually call them the money stop here in PGR, and that's what we're going to see. And, you know, it's a you got to get down to that pit lane speed, 60 miles an hour here at Daytona. And one big thing too, Dawson, that cone moved not too long ago with the update. So, you know, I remember just practicing just a little bit. You have to get down to 60 miles an hour a little bit earlier than you used to. So that can also play a factor in this. And these next gens are a little finicky as well on exit of your pit box. So, man, I'm really excited to see, you know, really the separation in this field if we do get that green flag stop, and, you know, how spread out it might get.
We saw guys practicing green flag pit stops in the warm-up session just a little bit ago, trying to get themselves prepared for what it would be like in race conditions, but you really can't replicate a green flag pit stop on the fly at Daytona at 200 miles an hour in a 40-car pack. You just can't. There's not much you can do to prepare yourself for that situation, as many cars as will be trying to pit at once. Let's update the running order a little bit for you here up front, because it has shuffled just a bit as we've been talking about pit stops. Wyatt Gray is your leader on lap 25. We approach the halfway mark of dual race number 1. Rocky Boyd runs in second. Austin Call is third. Aaron Brown is fourth. And it's Michael Tucker back in the 5th spot. Alexander Kroenke has moved forward to the 6th spot. Battle for 7th between Trace Paderni and Hunter Hastings. Sean Conklin is 9th. And the battle for 10th is Ethan Eckert and Brock Whitehead. As far as I know, everyone is still in the lead draft. No, that is not the case. There are a couple of cars outside the draft. We talked about Jacob Dunn going 1 lap down. Max Dinda has now also lost the draft in the 48 machine. Every other one of the 39 cars in this lead lap group are still in the lead draft. There's Dinda. He will be bypassed by the field and go 1 lap down. So now 2 cars are 1 lap down. Dunn has actually gone 2 laps down since that. Now Dinda is 1 lap down into the 48. Other than that, everyone else on the lead lap and in the lead draft under a blanket. I'll tell you what, Mike, they're starting to single out. I know we're not quite to that pit number yet. 35 to 40 is what I had written down. I'm not positive how far exactly they'll be able to go, but a lot of guys are very much content to jump down in line and quit making moves to the top lane. Now begins 7 rows deep in the field, the Mobile One Camry of DJ Thomas.
Yeah, and that's just opens up the door for these green flag pit stops we've been talking about. You see more and more drivers now heading to that bottom lane. It's very tough to pit from that second lane. There's no rule against it here in PGR, but I'll tell you what, if you pit from the second lane and you cause an accident, you are going to go to the back of the pack, and that's definitely something you got to be thinking about as we see even more drivers now heading down to the bottom of the racetrack. You see David Flanagan still stuck on the outside in number 31 as he tries to find a way to get down here. That's going to be another developing story as drivers continue to let off the throttle and let teammates in line. You see now a little bit farther back to 54, I believe Sean Conklin now back to the outside. You have a decision to make too as a driver in this pack. If you are in the back, you want to make up a lot of delta, because you could go to that middle lane right now, knowing there's going to be some green flag pit stops, and you can get to the front pretty quick. The question is, can you get to the bottom to give yourself a better chance at getting on pit lane?
Well, definitely curious to see a few guys that we're used to going to the front and wanting to run towards the front of the field jump out of line and jump down. The one that really got me, Ethan Eckert was one, but David Flanagan was the other one. So aggressive, but jumps in front of his teammate Landon Veliky about halfway deep in the field and decides to jump down in line. Oh, it's a miscalculation there as DJ Thomas is going to jump around the outside. It was a late move from Aaron Brown. Thomas, the odd man out, he'll go backwards in the 19, and now that middle lane has stacked up. So he's going to go 10, 12 rows deep in the field as unfortunately there. And it's a tough spot to be in. You know you want to push, but obviously it was a very late move to jump up from Aaron Brown. He did not want to risk turning the 18, and Thomas is going the wrong way. Up front, it continues to be Wyatt Gray and Rocky Boyd that lead. Aaron Brown now leads that middle lane. They are closing in. They're in the battle for fourth right now with Tucker trying to bring cars towards the front. We've been told that there is chatter about groups starting to pit next time by. The window has opened to pit and make it to the end of tonight's duel race on a fuel tank if you can get there. But groups starting to look to pit next time by. Rocky Boyd blocks Aaron Brown's advance as the outside gets there. Brown turns left. He wants the lead. Aaron Brown on the push of Wyatt Gray. It'll be Rocky Boyd leading the top side now with James Bomar in the 20, the yellow and black EPI entry that will bring the field to green tomorrow. He is up here trying to work through his duel race. You heard him earlier talking about he's got some teammates in this race that he wants to try to get through to the 500 tomorrow. He continues to run up front, doing really good work right now in that 20 machine, pushing Rocky Boyd back clear to the lead of Aaron Brown. Now it's Bomar that leads the top. Here we go, Mike. The window may open right here. We've heard chatter of groups pitting on lap 30. As they come off turn 4, will anyone take the left-hand turn to Daytona International Speedway pit road? Yes. Michael Tucker is going to come down. He's all by his lonesome, but now a late move from Donskoy. He's got to bail. Yaroslav Donskoy, that was way too late to try to commit, and that is a bad miscalculation for the 10 as he's going backwards in a hurry.
Yeah, that was definitely way too last minute there for Donskoy. He's going to have to rebound from that, and that's going to be hard to do. They're beating and banging a little bit up front right now. I think this middle lane's thinking, hey, how can we get down to the bottom of this racetrack? They might have to stay out a little bit longer. Obviously, it won't matter. They should have plenty of fuel to keep going here. As you see, Ethan Eckert now makes a push to the third lane, so that's a little interesting at the moment. We're going to see again here as we come to turn number 4 in the exit here, if we see any more takers to come to pit lane. As yes, we do. It goes the AT there. And we got just one. So Dawson, we've seen only, and he's almost going to spin a couple drivers on pit lane, but we really still haven't seen a big group.
That's Paderny that gets spun out of line the 79. He, just like Donskoy, missed his entry point, I think, onto pit road, and unfortunately for him is going to lose some time. The cars on pit road that time: Aaron Brown, Rajah Caruth, Landon Veliky, Garrett Caswell, Paderny, David Flanagan, Edward Sanchez, and Talon Drake. The cars that came down pit road here on lap 31 into 32. So about 8 cars on pit road that time. They're the first big group, or decently sized group, to get down on pit road for this first pit run, first and only pit stop of the race. Lap 32. Here comes some more. Rocky Boyd, Austin Call, Justin Champagne, Tucker McClendon, and a big group coming right here, almost half the field. Parker gets into Jack Simpson. Everybody, I think, is going to make it. Man, Donskoy almost overshot again in the 10 car, about 15 cars deep in this group. As everybody tries to get on pit road, here's the full group if we can give them to you. McClendon, Hunter Hastings, Ethan Eckert, Stephen Miles, Brock Whitehead, Larson Parker, DJ Thomas, Jeff Merck, Bryce Rayner, Matt Taylor, Justin Johnson, Rocky Boyd, Cole Larson, Wyatt Gray, Call, Simpson, Whitehead, Trey Whitehead, that is, Paul Gallimore, Brian Hennings, Champagne, McCullough, Jancic, Donskoy, and Fondell. That was most of the remaining lead draft that came to pit road right there in one of the craziest pit entries you will ever see. As we wait for the rest of the lead draft to pit, they'll do so here on lap 33.
Yeah, here comes James Bomar, Adam Garza, Sean Coughlin, Caden D. Oh, wow, the 8 of Adam Garza is going to spin coming on the pit entrance. He is now in a pit box, nearly hits the inside wall. A big story there. It's Adam Garza could not get it low down enough as he spins. A rare mistake from Garza as you see the 20 now to his pit box, as well as Conklin in the Gossett Toyota 54. And wow, Dawson, just that's what I was saying. You're going to see some big names make mistakes with these green flag stops. We saw one there, and that's going to put Garza way back in this field.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And mistakes on pit road, we talk about them so often. We'll talk about them again tomorrow in terms of being very, very costly to you in a 500-mile race. They're even more costly when there's only one green flag pit stop on the race. We saw the Garza error right there, the spin on pit road. I do want to report 2 more penalties to you on this round of pit stops. The outside pole sitter Aaron Brown for tomorrow's 500, speeding on pit road. That's a black flag. The other car, Trace Paderni, who spun, also received a speeding penalty. That entire second group got on pit road and off pit road cleanly. No penalties for any of those cars that came on and off pit road. Really good work for that group of cars. So the leaders now will recycle. Rocky Boyd has cycled forward to the lead, and in fact, there's going to be a bit of a break here between the groups. Rocky Boyd, Wyatt Gray, Hunter Hastings, Austin Call, and Stephen Miles trying to hang on to this first group. Then the bridge car of Sean Conklin is right behind them. The second group is a long line along the bottom side of the racetrack, and it includes the following cars: Jack Simpson, Talon Drake, Garrett Caswell, Landon Velicki, Rajah Caruth, Ed Sanchez, David Flanagan, Tucker McClendon, Trey Whitehead, Paul Gallimore, Ryan Hennings, Jeff Merck, Bryce Rayner, Justin Champagne, Brock Whitehead, James Bomar, Cole Larson, Caden Diedrich, Josh McCullough, Alexander Kroenke, DJ Thomas, and Timothy Harper. So that group goes back to 28th position. So 28 of the 41 that started this race are still very much in contention. Ethan Eckert, in a big development here, has gone 1 lap down. The driver of the 12, some kind of error on pit road, and we are now being told it is a penalty for unsafe pit exit, and that is a huge name that makes a mistake on pit road. Eckert behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I was looking at that here while you were talking, Dawson, and that is a big one right there. I know the young man has a lot to prove in this community. He wants to get to the feature of the PGR 500 and try to get that trophy tomorrow afternoon. But now he might need a caution flag, and so far it's been green since the drop of the green. And 6-car breakaway at the front. Rocky Boyd the third. And here we go as the next grouping is going to catch them here. Single file. Man, we are pretty much single file all the way back here until about the mid-20s at the moment. And this race, like I said, I knew it was gonna really flip the script of this race if we got to that green flag stop. And we are gonna see some awesome racing here near the end. I have been on the edge of my seat here. It looks like the fans, they are still on their feet. I mean, this is just a crazy, awesome race, Dawson. And these guys really putting on a show for all the viewers that have come out to PGR eSports to take in the Dad Bod Studios Duels at Daytona.
Tell you, the tail end of this group is struggling to hang on to the draft. They got a stack up right there that's going to work favorably. That was the Larson, Champagne, Thomas, and Merck machines. They all checked up in front of them as this group starts to run 2 and 3 wide, and now it's going to allow those cars to catch back up. So it will be 28 in the lead pack. Quickly before they get to racing, let's tell you the drivers that have lost this lead pack as of right now. Craig Jancic in 29th, Michael Tucker in 30th, Yaroslav Donskoy 31st, Justin Johnson 32nd, Matthew Taylor 33rd. You saw Garza with his spin on pit road in 34th. Mark Vondell 35th, Larson Parker 36th, and of course the Eckert machine in 37th. We talked about Paderni, Dinda, Brown, and Dunn's issues throughout the race as well. But 28 remain. We are right back to it up front 3 wide. Rocky Boyd leads, Wyatt Gray second, but this group has been caught by what was the second group on the racetrack. Boyd leads the field off turn 4. Wyatt Gray is with him. They're going to lap Larson Parker right here in the 18. He'll go 1 lap down. That'll make another car 1 lap down. This is a big deal for Eckert. He will pass the Parker car and continue to be the first car 1 lap down should a caution occur. But I'll tell you, Mike, with where Eckert's running on the racetrack, this is dangerous territory. Eckert wants the lucky dog, but he is right in the danger zone for where the incident would happen if one does occur before the end of this race. He is up in the lead draft inside the fray. The AutoZone Mustang on the bottom leading that line in front of Jack Simpson. But for now, he continues to be the first car 1 lap down. Rocky Boyd continues to lead the way. Conklin has jumped up in front of Austin Call. Wyatt Gray's going to try to jump around Rocky Boyd as Miles jumps to the bottom of Hastings. And here we go, 3 by 3, almost all the way back through the lead pack. Boyd with a huge block on Stephen Miles on the bottom side. Tell you what, how about the performance so far from Rocky Boyd? He'll lead this time by 21 laps to go.
Yeah, action picking back up where we started the duel here tonight. As you see now, if you want to go back here, we're about 28 cars in this lead pack, and there's only 20 spots available for tomorrow's feature a race. We're going to go all the way back here, at least I am, to Cole Larson, back in the 28th position. You see Jeff Mert, he's made a move now. He's just gained about 4-5 positions as he tries to make his way back to the top 20. So I'll tell you right now, these drivers here up in the top 28, especially these drivers up here comfortably in the top 15, you know, they don't have to push too hard. Obviously, yeah, there's a little bit of money on the line for the top couple spots here. But, you know, the bigger picture is just to get to tomorrow's race. You got 500 miles tomorrow, but you can't get there if you junk your race car here in the duels. So I would, you know, if it were me, I'd ride around right now. There's only 8 guys, like I said, in this lead pack that would not transfer to tomorrow if you can get to that white flag lap.
Boy, Rocky Boyd's having some connection problems now leading the field. That's not going to end well, I can't imagine, for him. He's good for now, though, in the 16 bottom lane with now Wyatt Gray as his pusher. Miles is the man on the top side with Conklin. You're on board with the 9th place runner, Landon Veliky, for the Jack Shack. He's right in the midst of this battling in the middle lane. He's in front of his teammate, actually, David Flanagan. So a pair of Jack Shack cars together. Almost some contact there. Veliky and Timothy Harper coming together in the center. Bottom lane shoots the gap. Here comes Bomar. He'll come to the aid of Wyatt Gray, who gets trapped down there on the yellow line because the outside's rolling. It's Austin Call and Rajah Caruth for the first time really in this first duel race. He'll make an appearance this close to the front. The Nationwide Chevrolet, that's Caruth. He's pushed by Harper trying to get Austin Call forward. They've got Gallimore in line with them. Oh man, Rocky Boyd almost got turned up at the front of the field trying to block Wyatt Gray again. Miles hung out to dry. He's waiting on his help in Conklin. Rocky Boyd back to the lead with Wyatt Gray in behind him. Back down into turn 3. Next time, still 18 laps to go. There's a long way to go. Again, 28 are in this first pack with a chance to get those final spots in the duels. Cole Larson is that final car in line right now, but guys out back are starting to make moves. You talked about Merck. We're talking about DJ Thomas. He was outside the top 20 a moment ago. Both are starting to work forward in this pack. In fact, Jeff Merck, in a matter of 2.5 laps, Mike has gone from 21st to 5th on the inside in car number 60 for NBG. He'll push Wyatt Gray on the bottom. Some disorganization. Garza's going to go 1 lap down. They'll get to him on the backstretch, so he'll be able to bail. Or not. He'll stay on the yellow line. Luckily, everybody for the most part is 2 wide. There's a couple rows of 3 wide, but they'll get to him before the corner. 1 car to the inside, that's Caswell. Whitehead poked his nose out for the lead, but Boyd keeps it in the 3. Nobody goes with him. Back to Wyatt Gray. And now the pole sitter for tomorrow's PGR 500 will nose out front. James Bomar to the lead off turn 4.
Yeah, and off for another man on the move. It's Brian Hennings for Team PGR and VRX in the 74. He is going to be 4 in line on the bottom. He just squeaked past his LCQ to get here to duel number 1. And man, he is on the move at the moment. And he is looking great right now to try to advance to tomorrow. Above him, another driver, Hunter Hastings, in the number 44, trying to do the same thing as we are still 2 wide here in the front of the pack. Up middle pack's going to be some 3 wide racing. Now it's going to fan back out to 2. But I would expect action to keep picking up here as we approach the 15 lap to go margin, as Rocky Boyd still out front, facing a little bit of technological issues. But so far, so good for the man as he controls the pace here at Daytona.
Another big block by Rocky Boyd as he jumps across the nose of James Bomar up front. I'll tell you, they are trying to get that bottom lane working. Big turn to the right by Bomar. He goes across the nose of Miles. Bomar to the outside of Boyd now, and he wants to lead back in turn 1. They're trying to get the bottom lane rolling. It's 8 rows deep in the field. They're going to have a couple more cars join them here off turn 2. Trey Whitehead jumps bottom. Surprise, Brock Whitehead does not go with him in car 31, so the 23 waits on the help. But the guys I was watching, Harper, DJ Thomas, and Justin Champagne, they've been working at it for 10 laps or so to try to get that bottom lane rolling now. A couple bail back to the middle and top trying to get some spots. Up front, Bomar versus Boyd for the lead. Bomar will have the better push in Miles, top side the Exalta Chevrolet. That's Bomar in the all-yellow EPI Toyota Camry. Again, will sit on pole tomorrow. He doesn't even care that he's already locked in. He wants to race with these boys up here at the front. Bomar almost gets turned. Miles hooked him out of line. Big save by James Bomar, the pole sitter, as he somehow keeps that car underneath him. Bottom line coming in a hurry. Here comes David Flanagan for the Jack Shack. They're on scene in a hurry as Flanagan, McCullough, Whitehead, and others make it back to the front off 2. It's 3 wide all the way through the field once again. Miles to the lead. Boyd is his push. Conklin is the man leading the top now as Bomar picks up Flanagan on the bottom.
Yeah, I wish we could get a stat here on how many lead changes we have had tonight. Man, we have seen the front cycle out so many times. These runs just generating a ton of energy, whether it be the bottom, middle, or the top lane, and now it's the bottom. Bomar with the lead. Flanagan and Bomar, they're going to clear to the middle. They nearly wrecked. That would have wrecked most of the front of this pack. They're able to keep it together. Wow, the precision on that move has both of them up to the middle lane. Here comes the bottom back. Roger Cruz backing up in the back of this pack. He wants nothing to do with it. I think he's going to say, hey, I'm going to hang out here behind everyone as they look to wreck. David Flanagan's around. They're wrecking out back. Caution's going to fly. And I'll tell you what, a lot of these drivers were able to get through that one unscathed. It looks like Flanagan, maybe one other car when we go to replay, took any little bit of damage. But I'll tell you, Dawson, they were able to keep it straight. But the first caution flag of duel number 1 is out. And we will go to caution laps here. And I am just catching my breath. That is some exciting racing here tonight.
If you'll remember back to last year, the duels were 2 of the best races of the weekend, and certainly this one is living up to its billing so far as well. You noted that most of the cars actually get away from this. I was surprised with where David Flanagan got turned in the field. I thought that was going to be big, involving the 31 and many others behind him, but a really impressive job by the rest of the field to somehow miss that incident as Flanagan gets turned in the middle of the Daytona super stretch. It will bring out the caution and give us all a chance to take a breath under this first caution of duel race number 1, as the drivers will get that opportunity as well. Bit of a scramble here as guys are trying to line up on the scoring pylon under this caution. So we'll go back and start to take a look at what occurred on this first caution flag of the night. Again, we saw it happen live with David Flanagan in the middle of the pack. I saw Sean Conklin spin as well, but I don't think the damage on the 54 is too bad either, but we'll get another look at it here in just a moment. But I mean, you talked about the amount of lead changes, you talked about the amount of leaders that we've had, and the amount of crazy racing at the front. This was a matter of time before the time bomb finally went off. And again, I would argue that it should have been bigger than it was. We'll go back and take a look. I'll show you what I mean as Flanagan gets turned right in the middle of the field. That's Flanagan, the pink, blue, white, and neon yellow 31 for the Jack Shack. Timothy Harper works just a little bit too far up the racetrack and hooks Flanagan sideways. Oh, Stephen Miles is in it as well in car 24. Conklin gets some damage. Wyatt Gray, Rocky Boyd may have gotten a couple hits out of this. It's nothing too crazy, but a couple cars get sideways and out of line. We'll have to check the damage on Miles and Conklin and Flanagan. And I think there was one other car that might have spun to the left, but I'm not positive who that was. He went out of frame very quickly on the inside of the racetrack. There was at least one car on the bottom side of the racetrack that went spinning. But Mike, the time bomb was waiting to go off. It went off right there, and it could take the smallest misjudgment, the smallest wash up the racetrack, and it was on from there. Again, lucky that that was not bigger than it was.
Yeah, and race control, he's going to put that one on Timothy Harper here. As you see Timothy Harper on exit here, he's going to wash up, like you said, ever so slightly. He's going to get into the 31 of Flanagan. Flanagan is doing a great job of saving it as he's wiggling. The problem is Rocky Boyd's still in the gas, as he should be. Nothing much Rocky could do as he's getting shoved by the 18 of Wyatt Gray, and that's what eventually turns the 31 up into Conklin. But I'll tell you this, I was kind of in the same situation Sean Conklin was in my LCQ here today, and I experienced quite a bit of damage being that car on the top lane getting pinched into the wall. And it's a tough spot to be in. You don't really, like, if you hit, you don't really feel like you have all that much damage, but you are surprised when you do come to pit lane. I mean, I had about over 3.5 minutes of optional repair from my first incident earlier, and it kind of looked similar to what Conklin experienced there. And then later in the race, the same thing. I got pinched up into the wall again and got a meatball. I had to come to pit lane, and that was it. There was no repair in that car. So, you know, that's truly not great in my opinion for Conklin here. Maybe he got lucky, but he did take a hard hit as Flanagan came up the racetrack, and he really just had nowhere else to go. He's following Stephen Miles. Actually, Miles as well gets into it, but I'll be curious to see how Conklin approaches the rest of this race. But man, these guys did a great job, Dawson, of all slowing down. This could have been a lot worse, but I'm glad it wasn't, because we're gonna get some awesome racing here in the last 10 laps.
Well, agreed, Mike, and obviously, again, a chance for the drivers to catch their breath and get ready as the lights will go out atop the iRacing.com pace car. Josh McCullough, Trey Whitehead on the front row. I will say a couple cars sat on pit road for an extended amount of time there, Sean Conklin and David Flanagan, so we'll check on them once we go back green, see what their status is. Once we get back underway, it will be 10 laps to go in this dual race, a sprint to the end to determine the first lineup for the PGR 500. Before we get back green, the radio was lighting up there under that first caution. Our pit reporter Tyler Vickery has more. Tyler, what are the drivers saying on the radios after that first crash?
Yeah, it's going nuts. Everyone was hoping for the caution. A lot of the cars in the back, like Justin Johnson, I know Brian Henning's kind of a little bit in that situation. There was even Garza. You could also add in Garza who got the lucky dog. A lot of drivers looked at it as the grenade about to explode. So now with the grenade exploding, a lot of these drivers in the back that were waiting for that big wreck to happen, it's go time for them. They are all going to push. Garza's going to be trying to push as well from the radio I've heard. Get ready. We're going to have a lot of 3 wide.
We already had a lot of 3 wide throughout this dual race, but the moves and the blocks and the pushes are only going to get more desperate now that we are going to tick down to single digits after 1 lap of racing here on the restart. I can tell you there are multiple cars 1 lap down. Aaron Brown has actually gone multiple laps down in car number 18. Of course, he will sit outside pole tomorrow, so no harm, no foul for him. But multiple cars 1 lap down. Here they are. Trace Paderni, Max Dyna, Ethan Eckert, Mark Mondell, Larson Parker, Jacob Dunn, and David Flanagan are all 1 lap down. So with 1 more caution, we'll have another lucky dog. So with a potential few more cautions, the race within the race will be to get back on the lead lap and get back into this one. 33 on the lead lap. Adam Garza gets the lucky dog. Everyone back to Sean Conklin is on the lead lap. McCullough, Whitehead, Bomar, Champagne, Miles, your top 5 as we get ready to go back green. 10 laps to go in dual race number 1. Green flag is back in the air, and McCullough is off to the races, but Whitehead matches him pretty well up top. He'll have Champagne and Boyd. Look at the jump, the outside lane. God, it's going to vault. Trey Whitehead to the lead of dual 1 here in turn number 1.
Yeah, a great restart here for that top lane. We've seen it different throughout the week. Josh McCullough leads the bottom lane, and how he has to be feeling the pressure as he is in the front here on the bottom. Here comes Jeff Merck in the 3rd lane. That 3rd lane surging once again. I would expect fireworks here in the last 10 laps of this race as Whitehead now clears to the bottom. Rocky Boyd leads the middle. He's got a rear view mirror full of the 44 Hastings and Gray. But Jeff Merck right now using Landon Velke, Roger Caruth here in that 3rd lane. They're going to surge as well as get to the stripe here. Dawson, man, this is going to be an awesome finish tonight.
Well, we reset the clock on the time bomb, Mike, but I'll tell you what, it's going to go off again at some point before this race ends. These guys continue to race like this. Trey Whitehead continues to lead. Rocky Boyd is the leader in the center. Jeff Merck is the leader up top. No, now it's Wyatt Gray that's the leader up top in the 18. With Merck behind him, Wyatt Gray tried to come back down, but Ed Sanchez filled that spot. Heck of a move from Stephen Miles. He goes bottom to middle, bottom lane, stacks up huge back around Paul Gallimore. Everybody keeps it going. Top side will get the roll here into 3. Boyd leads for a moment. Here comes Wyatt Gray as Kroenke gets a little bit loose halfway back through the field. We keep it green somehow. Rocky Boyd, Wyatt Gray, door to door for the lead off turn 4. 8 laps to go in duel 1, and most of the 41 men that started this race are still in contention. Wyatt Gray on the outside. He's got Merck and Velke with him. Rasha Caruth is behind them. Craig Jancic, where did he come from? Bryce Rayner, same thing, 2 cars. Have not spent a lot of time up at the front of the field. Wyatt Gray continues to lead the way. Merck and Boyd go 2 wide for the 2nd spot for now. Trey Whitehead trying to rally that bottom lane, but it's just not really working right now. They're starting to gain some more cars, though. Justin Johnson's going to jump down there. A couple of others further back trying to tag up the inside. Here they come. Whitehead tries to go to the bottom as Velke throws it on the nose, or rather on the door of Jeff Merck. On the back of Wyatt Gray. Gray with a quick block, good move, blocks to the bottom. Wyatt Gray, the Pied Piper at Daytona off 4. Whitehead tries to turn right. He'll get there off turn 4. Whitehead with Velke, Champagne on Gray, Merck on Caruth. Mike, we are 3 wide for the lead with 7 to go.
3 wide for the lead, and these guys in the front, I'll tell you what, yeah, they're trying to race into tomorrow, but they're pretty comfortable. I'm surprised how hard they're racing, and these blocks that they're throwing at the front, not a ton of money on the line. I believe $100 to the race winner. They're racing today like it's for the $3,000 tomorrow. The man on the move right now, Justin Johnson, he is crept just into the transfer spot. He is the sponsor of this duel, the Dadbod Studios car, number 10. We'll see if he can race his way in. Stephen Miles now, he's going to get a surge on the bottom. Boyd back down to the middle here as Whitehead goes to the bottom. Whitehead underneath the apron. He's going to come back up into the field. They're going to start wrecking. Caution flag's going to come out. And you see a big one here at Daytona. Into the tri-oval, a ton of cars involved in this one. And a careless re-entry there, which brings out the yellow flag for the second time here in duel number 1.
There's no telling who's involved in this one, Mike. It might be easier to tell you who's not involved than who is. I saw Landon Velicki. That is a heartbreak for him. He's got big damage on his Jack Shack Chevrolet. We'll double check once we get to the replay and see, but I mean, that car is hardly rolling, and I don't even know if he'll make it back to pit road, and if that's the case, his night may very well be over here early with 6 laps to go in this race. So Velicki is one of the cars involved. We saw Trey Whitehead get involved in the 23. He continues to lead. Rocky Boyd was the first car to get turned that I saw in the 18 or the 16. And Landon Velicki will park it on the apron. What appears to be a heartbreaking ending to his PGR 500 run here in dual race number 1, and he does. Tow to pit road. He'll be sitting in his pit box. Can tell you there are at least David Flanagan appears to have also taken the trip to pit road, at least for the moment, in the 31. Those are the only 2 cars I see that have towed. Wyatt Gray is involved in the 18. He's got big damage in that factory setup Chevrolet. The blue car on the apron. Ed Sanchez has big damage. That's car number 26. Now we're going to have to go back to a replay. We have a number of cars with race-altering damage here. It's Whitehead that comes back up and door slams Ed Sanchez. Velicki, Sanchez, and Hastings come together. You see Velicki get in the wall, and there's just nowhere to go. Jeff Merck gets turned. Adam Garza, Talon Drake, Michael Tucker, Jeff Merck, Paul Gallimore, Craig Jancic, Garrett Caswell, Justin Champagne. There's more cars that spin to the grass we couldn't even see further back than that. At least 10 cars are involved in this incident in the tri-oval. And it all comes from about the first 25 spots on the racetrack. Look back there. Jack Simpson's involved. You see the Velicki car, I think, stopped on the apron. No, that's a different car, actually. That's Talon Drake. Garza's involved. He's got big damage. Appears that the 33 of Dunn is involved. Timothy Harper is in it. And there are a ton of cars in this. And they were all, again, inside the transfer positions. Look at the damage on Talon Drake's car. The first car this week to blow the front clip off of his Red Bull Chevrolet. And multiple cars have race-altering damage. The cars we know for sure have meatball flags that will have to address it. Landon Velicki, Talon Drake are the givens. Justin Johnson also receiving a meatball flag there. And a couple of other cars as well. Ed Sanchez is one of them. The other is the pole sitter, James Bomar. Raja Caruth also involved in car 88. He sits on pit road. It's easier to say who's not involved than who is, Mike. A huge shuffle in the running order now as many big hitters could potentially be eliminated.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one back right now, and I don't have any word from race control yet, but in the middle lane, it's Whitehead getting a shove. Boyd comes down to the middle, and here's the thing, the 23 of Whitehead, he is clear. He comes down the racetrack, and he's blocked late by Rocky Boyd, who then goes back up. That stops and impedes the run to the 23, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes on Rocky Boyd. But the issue with Whitehead is I was saying it in the chat, you got to take the L sometimes. I know it's rough. You're racing for a lot. You want to race tomorrow. I get it. But he could have just stayed underneath the apron here. Maybe he thought he was clear. I mean, he technically was a little bit clear of Miles, but the problem is he overshoots it when he comes back into the field, gets into the 26. Sorry, I can't read all the car names or the drivers' names at the moment, but I mean, that's ultimately what killed the field. So I'm going to be surprised here what the call is. I do believe, in my opinion, it's going to start with Rocky Boyd's block, but Whitehead doesn't make it any better when he does come back into the racetrack. Not sure if he was not happy with Boyd, but obviously a lot of cars wrecked up in this one that definitely did not deserve that one, and that is definitely going to flip this race upside down. And wow, man, it is just wild. In a blink of an eye, what can happen here at Daytona. You see it in real life. You see it here on the sim, Dawson. And this one is definitely going to have a different finishing order than we had drew it up here in the closing laps.
Yeah, the call is going to go against Rocky Boyd for the block off of turn number 4. So the 16 will receive the penalty. He came down pit road regardless after some damage in the crash. So he will head to the back of the field. We'll try to clean some things up for you, tell you who all is out of the race. I can tell you David Flanagan has called it a night. His PGR 500 hopes have been dashed. It appears that as it landed, Velicki is in the same boat. He continues to sit on pit road, but he is already 1 lap down. Will likely be 2 or more laps down by the time he comes off pit road. His hopes are likely over as well. Yaroslav Donskoy has also called it a day in car number 10 after being involved in that big crash right there. His night and his PGR 500 hopes are over. So one of the LCQ drivers is eliminated here in dual race number 1. Aaron Brown's still on track, but he is multiple laps down. I don't think he will contend for the win, but he is still running. Ed Sanchez and James Bomar are both laps down on pit road. They continue to sit in their box, but again, their competition for the win is over. Cars a lap down that were not involved in that crash: Jacob Dunn, Ethan Eckert, Trace Spaderni, Larson Parker, and Max Dinda. So if we do get to the green-white checkered attempts, certainly they will have an opportunity to get back in this one. Talon Drake sits on pit road in 30th. He is also repairing extensive damage to his 33. So a lot of cars' journeys are over, but 29 still have an opportunity to get in, and it is 3 laps to go in dual race number 1. The field's been flipped on its head. Whitehead, Diedrich, Miles, Hastings, Gallimore into the sim wrap market restart zone. Green flag, 3 laps to go in duel number 1. Who's going to make the first move to try to win it? Whitehead off and running. He'll have Miles behind him, but he'll block to the outside. Oh, look out. Tunnel vision for Miles a little bit there. As out back, Wyatt Gray doors. Josh McCullough in the 0-5 to bully his way up to the center. McCullough gets hung out to dry on the 3rd lane, and he's going backwards. Almost a bad exchange there off turn 2. 3 to go already. 3 wide, halfway back.
Halfway back, it's 3 wide. Josh McCullough continues to plummet through the field. He is not going to be happy with Wyatt Gray as he finally gets back in line. Ethan Eckert trying to race for his lap back just in case a caution flies here before the white flag lap. But it's single file up front and at the top as the top lane surges. Now off turn number 4, Trey Whitehead, your leader.
Well, they will get the popsicle sticks of the 2 flags out the flag stand from Party of the Flagman. 2 laps to go. If we make it back, we won't need to go to overtime. Big move out back from Austin Call. It's 5 rows deep in the field as the transfer spots heat up. Whitehead continues to lead. Diedrich goes second, but the inside starting to gain some momentum now. Turns to the inside. That's Kroenke in the 57 that ducks out of line in front of Paul Gallimore. Middle lane got a huge run through the middle of the corner, and they are coming forward, but the bottom has an even bigger run with Kroenke and Gallimore and Gray and Jancic in that lane. It's 3 wide from row 3 all the way to the tail end of the field. Whitehead leads back to turn 3. Miles trying to pull through the center. He's got Caswell with him. Problems back around Jeff Mark, but everybody saves it for now as the NBG entry gets it back going. Gallimore clipped the apron. He's able to save it. Miles back up in front of Garrett, Caswell, and Mike as they come off turn 4. They will see the white flag. 1 lap to go, presented by Bender's Bar and Grill.
White flag, 1 lap to go here. Whitehead leads Diedrich. Stephen Miles going big surge on the bottom. Caswell up here as well. It's anyone's game to win duel number 1. Jeff Burke trying to hang on in front of the 31. The transfer spot's heating up. This is going to be an all-timer right here in PGR eSports history. Who's going to get to victory lane here in duel number 1?
Well, Stephen Miles hopes it's him. He got the run to the inside. He got the inside run. He'll jump up now on the nose of Whitehead. Caswell to his inside has the better push. Back to turn 3 for the final time, and it's an all-time classic drag race off turn 4. Caswell comes clear of the field, and for the final time they'll work down the front stretch, crashing in the transfer positions. Multiple cars involved. Garrett Caswell steals duel 1 in an upset as they crash out back for the transfer spots.
What an upset here as Garrett Caswell wins duel number 1. They'll start near the front tomorrow as the fireworks go off on the backstretch. What a run for Caswell. Stephen Miles finishes right behind in second. Austin Call, a great run up the 3rd. Trey Whitehead finishes in 4th, and Alexander Kroenke in 5th. Man, I did not see this coming. Obviously, that big wreck changed a lot here in the later stages of this race. But what an unbelievable start here to the Dad Bod Duels at Daytona as Garrett Caswell comes into the tri-oval, and this has to be one of the biggest victories of his career as he'll shift focus to tomorrow as he will go after the biggest race win of his career, the PGR 500 Championship, $3,000 in the trophy, and he is one step closer to doing that.
Garrett Caswell, GTCR Motorsports aboard that 87. He is a longtime league and money racing super speedway driver, but again, does not really have a win of this kind of caliber. You got to imagine he's going to, run the engine out of this car here on the front straightaway for this win. A huge win for Garrett Caswell. He'll start third in tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. Again, I mean, you can see it right here. He's going to run the rear tires off. He's going to run the engine off, and he should. That's a big win. It's a great move, and he finished ahead of some of the best in the business tonight and made a statement. Did Garrett Caswell. I can tell you, Mike, looking back at the names that are out, there are some major upsets that we're going to have to talk about in just a moment that will not make tomorrow's PGR 500. Some names I did not think would go home in this race. So some big stories to talk about here coming up in just a little bit. But Caswell, well, I thought he got it freed. He's beached it again. He's trying to get this thing free. And he may celebrate all night after Duel 1 until they pull that car off the racetrack. And so as he does continue to celebrate in the infield grass here at Daytona, let's start to talk about your finishing results. There are some major upsets out of this first duel race that we will have to talk about coming forward out of this first duel. And Mike, I believe you're being summoned to the race control tower, so we'll let you go ahead and go and take care of the logistical duties behind the scenes. Of course, some things to sort out here at the end of duel race number 1. In the meantime, Garrett Caswell, the upset of the week so far, as he wins duel 1. He'll start from the inside of row 2 on tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500. Stephen Miles continues what's been a dominant speed weeks. He looked very good in this duel race, and he'll finish second. Austin Call is in the PGR 500. How about that for one of the recruitment race drivers? Trey Whitehead is in as well in the 4th spot, again as of now. Alexander Kroenke finishes in the 5th spot. A heck of a drive for him, by the way. He was 30th at one point inside of 10 to go. He drives forward to 5th. Caden Diedrich goes in the 6th spot. Paul Gallimore finishes 7th. The BMP driver will be racing tomorrow. Hunter Hastings makes it in the 8th spot. Wyatt Gray finishes in 9th in car number 18. And Jack Simpson, the driver in the LCQ by virtue of an EOL penalty reversal, is in 10th. What a story for the driver from Canada, Jack Simpson. Continuing back on through to the drivers in the back half of the top 20. Again, these drivers, as of now, are in the PGR 500, again, pending any calls on the final lap. Craig Jancic, great drive for him in 11th. Timothy Harper, the driver out of Precision Speed Solutions, will make an appearance tomorrow as well in 12th. Matthew Taylor started back in the August SummerSlam 499. He'll make a start tomorrow, as well in that 44 machine. Brian Hennings for Team PGR. He's had a good speed week so far. He'll continue it on. He'll go to tomorrow. Justin Johnson, the dual sponsor for Dad Bod Studios, carries his banner into the PGR 500. He finishes 15th. Rocky Boyd, after the block a moment ago that got him a penalty, resilience from him, he finishes 16th. Tucker McClendon, how about the run for Tucker? He'll finish 17th. He's in as well in the 67. Adam Garza goes 18th. The recovery, a pit road error, a crash, going a lap down, getting the lucky dog, and Garza races in 18th. Michael Tucker unofficially is 19th, and Jeff Merck for NBG finishes in the 20th spot, one of the final men inside the PGR 500 field. Here's where we're going to start to talk about some upsets. Sean Conklin is out in 21st position in the 54. Mark Vondell eliminated in 22nd, so too is his teammate Josh McCullough. Justin Champagne, another big name, eliminated in 24th. Bryce Rayner eliminated in the 25th spot, so too is DJ Thomas. A heck of a week for the 19, comes up short. He was involved in the crash on the last lap. Rajah Caruth also involved in that last lap incident. He will be sent home as well in 27th. Larson Parker in the 28th spot. Trace Bernerne in 29th, and Jacob Dunn finishes in 30th. Cole Larson finishes 31st. A tough break for him. He also will not be advancing forward. Brock Whitehead in 32nd. Ethan Eckert never got his laps back. He finishes 33rd, and he is also eliminated. Max Dinda will go home in 34th in the 48. Aaron Brown and James Bomar finished 35th and 36th. Of course, they'll start on the front row tomorrow, so no harm, no foul for those two drivers. Talon Drake finishes in 37th as he is unable to race his way in. Same for the Jack Shack's Landon Velicki, a tough break for the driver of the 62. Ed Sanchez looked very good back in the opening heat races, and unfortunately tonight, 39th for him, 6 laps down. Yaroslav Donskoy cannot finish the magical run out of the LCQ. He finishes in 40th. It's another Jack Shack entry of David Flanagan going home in 41st position. So now we will go back and start to take a look at the replay of the finish. We're going to try to wait. We're wanting to talk to the top 3 out of tonight's race. I think they are all getting ready to get in the waiting room, but we'll give them a few extra moments, and we'll go back and take a look at what happened at the end of this dual race. And it starts around DJ Thomas, and he gets contact there from Josh McCullough, Bryce Rayner, and Justin Champagne. And this is going to be the first few drivers out. Just a tough break as guys are pushing hard 10 rows deep in the field. And you see the guys get involved. Look at Garza. Garza spinning across the line to finish in 18th. And some guys trying to shoot the gap. It just wasn't quite enough. And some tough breaks back here. Again, it was some contact about 10 rows deep in the field. A heartbreaker for the guys that were well inside transfer spots into turn 3. It sparks up on the exit of turn 4, and some guys are going to see their runs come to an end as a result of that crash off of turn number 4. And again, multiple cars involved. We told you Conklin on back. Those were the guys that were involved. Raja Caruth, I'm not exactly sure what happened to the 88. Would like to go back and try to figure it out. He was 7 seconds back of the field at the checkered flag. I'm not positive if he was involved in that crash. I did not see him right there in that camera shot, but somehow Raja Caruth ends up outside looking in as well in car number 88. So a lot of big names, again, going home, and some guys are going to be moving on to tomorrow, and some in big-time upset scenarios. Well, let's start to talk to your top 3. We're going to move on to the top 3 here for the duels, and of course, we'll talk to the top 5 tomorrow afternoon after the PGR 500. We'll start first with a man in victory lane. He is all set to go in the waiting room, so we will get a word from him. The upset winner of the week. How about it for the driver for GTCR Motorsports? It's Garrett Caswell in PGR victory lane for dual race number 1. Garrett, it's Dawson in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, heck of a drive for you today. Again, you know, the dual races both incredibly stacked fields, and not only do you put yourself in position, but you go ahead and win the race as well. You go to victory lane. Chaotic racing, though, before that. Take me through an exciting dual race number 1 here at Daytona.
I mean, it was up and down nonstop. Like, start of the race, I don't know, we're just bouncing between strategies, went on, expected a wreck early on, so we kind of got set back on the pit strategy. My crew chief Turtle, he's my guy, man. I swear, he's gotten me through the most toughest situations. And yeah, we shouldn't even be here. I literally drove through a car's cockpit earlier without any damage in the last caution. But pretty much, I put faith in myself and the Lord, and I just drove the wheel off this thing tonight. And yeah, couldn't be more proud.
Well, look, a big win for you. We talked about the history that you have both on the money racing side and the league racing side, especially on these super speedways, a winner on both the league racing platform as well as the money racing scene. But I can't imagine that there is a bigger win in your career so far than this one. Take me through the emotions of knowing you're going to start 3rd tomorrow on the PGR 500, and you came out on top against some of the best tonight.
Well, emotion-wise, it definitely is the biggest win I've gotten so far. But emotion-wise, it feels like I just won the PGR 500. My voice is going out already from screaming. I going into this, I didn't know how much of a shot I'd have it. I was just looking for a top 20. I would have been happy with 19th. But man, this is freaking awesome. It's just no words. Couldn't be more proud.
Well, a big win for you, but obviously now we turn our attention to tomorrow. You're going to start 3rd in the PGR 500 tomorrow afternoon, the biggest super speedway race of the year. Do you have any idea what your game plan will be tomorrow to try to make it 2 for 2 and go home with $3,000?
Party all night, wake up early, go out, get it done tomorrow. Probably be safe for most of it, and I don't know. I still got to talk to my guy Turtle, but right now we're happy for the win and just unbelievably happy, and we're gonna go have a great night and just reminisce in what is an incredible moment. So we'll figure that out later, but right now it's party time.
Party time indeed for you after the win in dual race number one. Before we let you go and start to prep for 500 miles tomorrow, though, I do want to give you one more opportunity. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Well, number one, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I pray before all these races, and without him, there's no way, and there's no way any of us could be here right now. It's just an unbelievable blessing to even made it to this duel. I've gotten screwed over in so many of these races, which I probably could have and should have won. And yeah, besides that, I'd like to thank everyone back at GTCR Motorsports. It's just an incredible group. Justin Johnson, Todd McDuffie, all those guys who just go out and support and drive everyone on the team and just to make us better. My spotter Turtle, man, he's been through every low, just the lowest of lows that you can imagine with me, and then the highest of highs, which we're at right now, and it's just freaking awesome. But grandparents, great grandparents, Mama, Jeff, uh, my mom and dad, my girlfriend T, she freaking gave me not the most greatest pep speech, but it got me where I needed. And then Turtle is just finished the rest. He's just my hype man, and just everyone who's supported me through just this freaking incredible journey full of ups and downs. And I can't wait to have that PGR 500 trophy up on my desk whenever I win it tomorrow or whenever y'all ship it out. But and also y'all in the broadcast booth, y'all been doing a great job just watching in and out through the weeks, whether that just be heats that my friends are in or I'm in. Y'all do great.
Well, a big win for you tonight in dual race number one. You'll start third tomorrow for the Great American Sim Race. Garrett, thanks for talking to us for a second. Congratulations on the win here in dual race number one. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. But get prepared. We'll see you tomorrow for 500 miles.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Garrett Caswell, the man who finishes in the win spot tonight. He's in PGR dual race. Victory lane will move now to the man on the second step of the podium. One of the drivers I have had circled all speed weeks. It looked very stress-free for him, very comfortable today for the 24 of Stephen Miles as he advances into the PGR 500. Will now try to add $3,000 to his resume after a dominant speed weeks for the Exalted Chevrolet. He is the one who finishes in the second spot. We'll get a word with him now. Stephen, it's Dawson, the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How y'all doing, man?
Well, look, not too bad, but got to imagine you're feeling pretty good. Coming into this race, we talked about the speed weeks that you have. Multiple wins here at Daytona in this next-gen race car over the past couple of weeks in the recruitment process. And you've had a really good speed week to this point here in the PGR 500 as well. Tonight, led a bunch of laps, never really left the front, stayed up there, were in position when it mattered. Could not quite get the victory here in Duel 1, but I got to imagine it still feels pretty good for you to come here second in Duel 1. How do you feel after a chaotic dual race here at Daytona?
Um, I'm upset. I'm upset at myself. I know Malik watching, and I was just thinking of what he would do. But I mean, I'm excited for making the race. I'm upset that I lost another teammate. We started off with 10, and I think we only gonna have like 2 people in here. So I'm on a hot streak. I feel like me and well, never mind, Jackson not here no more. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a crazy 500. I thought I made the winning move out of 3 right there by going to the outside, but I see Caden went third, and it kind of hurt the momentum on the outside. So I feel like I gave that one up. Situational awareness, I guess, was lacking right there. So just just gonna learn from that and go into this 500. I know it's gonna be a new day, new race. Hopefully we be calm before the storm, or we'll see how the 200 laps go. Hopefully, I'll be up here talking to you at the end of that one. Um, I'm excited, but upset. I guess I got a lot of mixed emotions right now. It is what it is. I wanted to race this last weekend with my team, and it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. So it's kind of bittersweet, and I don't really know how to feel right now. But it is what it is. I hope the broadcast was good.
Look, carrying the banner, obviously, for your team so far this week in that 24 machine. Look, tonight in Duel 1, obviously, the racing a little bit crazier than what we saw in the heats and even in the LCQs earlier this afternoon. Do you think that this kind of racing will be more of what we see tomorrow? Will it be back to what we've seen earlier in the week with two wide? What do you think the tone of the race tomorrow will be for 500 miles?
I think it's gonna be like it's gonna be in waves. I think some people gonna get anxious. There's so many different drivers out here with so many different agendas, and some people want to leave every lap. Some people don't want to lose track position. Some people want to just ride in the back and make it to when the moment counts. And me, I'm gonna go for it. I'm going all in. I'm racing every lap like not the last lap because I'm not the type of driver to drive over my head like that. So just gonna race, take it all in. Me and Wyatt, my other teammate, try to work together, put us up there with the other teams, and I feel like it's gonna be in waves. I feel like some laps it might be too wide, and once somebody go third and somebody see the opportunity to advance, that's when it get wild, and caution breeds caution. So it's gonna be wild, man. Everybody that's watching, I'm pretty sure it's gonna have more people watching it because it's gonna break the record charts tomorrow. So I guess get ready.
Certainly looking forward to it. One more thing for you before I do give you a chance to give some shout outs. What is your confidence level? We know how good a speed weeks that you've had so far. What's your confidence level for tomorrow that you can come home $3,000 richer and a PGR 500 champion?
Uh, I guess in like what Malik would say, horses don't stop, they keep going. So mine is at probably like 150, 200 confidence. I feel like if I'm in a prime position to take advantage of it like I was tonight, like making that move on the restart to push the line up to the wall and do whatever I could to try to put myself in a position. I believe I can do it, and I know I got to deal with 43 other drivers that feel the same way. So hopefully the best man win, and hopefully I'll be able to walk away with $3,000 or push my teammate to $3,000, and I get 1,500. It don't matter as long as we do it for the team. So that'll be it.
Well, Stephen, a win for you, or rather a second place for you here in dual race number 1, and you're going to start from 5th tomorrow in the PGR 500. Before we let you go, to get prepped for a long one tomorrow afternoon, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Man, I want to thank you, Dawson, and you do an awesome job, man. Best broadcaster out here, man. Appreciate PGR, Michael Triscaro, Matt Baker for putting this show on, man. I'm pretty sure everybody's watching this. My parents and everybody been texting me and letting me know. My friends just text me in, talking about I almost had it, but um, appreciate my teammates. I couldn't do none of this without them. The camaraderie we have. I wish we was all in it, man. It would have been real fun then, but I appreciate them. Um, Appreciate the drivers too, man, for making it an exciting race and fun race. And we had some cautions at the end, but at least we was able to get a green flag run in and all that. And my mom, my dad, and most of all, man, Jesus Christ for waking us up early in the morning so we could wreck cars late at night, man. And that'll be it.
Well, Stephen, congratulations on the second place effort today. Good luck tomorrow, the PGR 500. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We'll see you tomorrow for 500 miles.
Appreciate it.
Stephen Miles is your second place finisher here in dual race number 2. Now on to one of the stories of the week to this point. It's a guy who raced back in the recruitment process. He did not even know what PGR was at the time, decides to throw his name in the hat to get into the PGR 500. And now, by virtue of a third place finish, not only is he in, he's going to start from the 7th spot on the grid tomorrow afternoon for 500 miles. And what a story it's going to be if he can make his way to PGR 500 victory lane tomorrow. One of the upstart stories of this week so far. He's taken the entire PGR community by storm. He goes third in this dual race. He'll start 7th tomorrow. It's Austin Call in the 18 machine. Austin, it's Dawson in the broadcast booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, a big run for you tonight. We were just kind of talking about, your journey to this point. Obviously, one of the drivers from the recruitment process, you make it into the event. And then once you got to the event, it feels like you've been, on top of your game since that point. Ran well in the heat race, got into this dual race. Now an opportunity to come forward from the LCQ this morning or this early afternoon. Now an opportunity to get in the duel. And then not only do you just race into the PGR 500, you're going to start P7 tomorrow. I just kind of want to start with the emotional roller coaster of it. How are you feeling right now after this run in dual race number 1?
I mean, I know my reaction was pretty loud, but it's nice to have only one teammate in there who can hear it. But I don't know how it just kind of all opened up. Um, I was mostly afraid of just getting in a wreck, and then everything opened up around me, and I just kind of drove where the runs came, and finally got down, and somehow I ended up third. I don't really know how, but it worked out.
Well, absolutely, it worked out. And look, some of your first exposure to what the intensity of PGR esports style racing can be this week, and this dual race, I think, was a little bit of getting thrown into the flames just a little bit, but again, looked very comfortable for you on the racetrack. So, kind of take me through the experience of racing against some of these guys, especially tonight in this dual race. Just take me through, what it felt like in the car to be in the middle of such a crazy lead pack in this first dual race.
I mean, I have some experience with it, not because I'm a league racer, so I race with Wyatt Gray year round, and I've raced with a few other guys in there, a bunch. So like I know some of the people in there, but there's nothing like that. That was one of the most hectic packs I've ever seen. Um, I don't think I've ever been like so like crunched together. If you, I don't know if that's the right word, on the high line, because I was just trying to get to the front any means necessary. Um, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But that was one of the craziest races I've ever raced in. Maybe only behind the heat race, because I mean, and this is just a huge race. It was so much fun.
A lot of fun for us to watch up here. A lot of fun for myself to call. Well, now look, it's a pretty quick turnaround, less than 24 hours away from getting back in the race car and going to battle for 500 miles tomorrow for the big prize, $3,000, the trophy, and of course, the prestige of being called a PGR 500 champion. So, as we go forward into that race tomorrow, do you have a game plan yet? And what is your confidence level to come out on top and be back in victory lane this time tomorrow?
So, well, my first hope is that I only have one teammate left in this, and he's in the second heat, Andrew Palesci. So hopefully he can make it through, and I'll have a friend. But other than that, it's just going to be hope I can get out in front at the right time in the right place, and hope someone pushes me. Because I mean, tomorrow's gonna be a long day to me too, for me too, because I had to reschedule because I'm in college. I had to reschedule a lab for 8 a.m. tomorrow morning before the race, just to be able to, on the off chance I made it in. Um, so hopefully my teammate gets in, and hopefully we can work together and get up to the front and win this thing.
Well, we are looking forward to it. A good week for you so far. And now you are locked in to run 500 miles tomorrow afternoon, right back here at Daytona. Before we let you go, I do want to give you an opportunity before we let you start to prepare for 500 miles. Do you want to give any thank you shout outs here on the way out the door?
Oh well, first of all, my like spotter, kind of Maxwell Caldwell. Uh, he unfortunately got knocked out in his heat, and he stayed in the voice call the entire time. Todd Merkel, Andrew Palesci, Justin Lewis, all my teammates, Trevor Dalton, all those guys. We work together all the time, and unfortunately, only two of them decided to show up for this race specifically. But I mean, they're always teammates, and I'm always glad to have them. And then obviously, thank you to my family for letting me do this. They were both. My dad was hoping that the leader, or the I think Garrett, they were hoping that Garrett would split the prize money with me because I pushed him to the win, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, look, obviously tonight for you, a third place finish here in dual race number one. It's not the win that maybe you wanted, but hey, you're locked in tomorrow. You'll start from P7. You'll have a chance at the big prize tomorrow afternoon. Austin, congratulations on the third place run. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. Good luck tomorrow on the PGR 500. We'll see if we're talking to you after 500 miles.
All right, thank you so much.
Austin called a third place finisher, and so cool to hear his reaction. What a week, by the way, that he has had so far in the PGR 500 as he continues his journey on through the racing. We have some running order updates to tell you. After duel number one, after some race control reviews, there were some pit road penalties given out right at the end for guys sliding through pit road or driving through the entrance of pit road to avoid the crash. So we can tell you on the official results, you may have seen that Michael Tucker and Jeff Merck were listed as in. They are both now going to be out by virtue of a couple of those penalties because Brock Whitehead and Cole Larson received penalties right at the end of the race. They finished inside the top 20 but are being shown one lap down on the scoring. Those penalties, of course, are going to be removed as those guys were avoiding the crash off turn 4. So those two are advanced. Unfortunately for Michael Tucker and Jeff Merck, their journey will be over, and they will finish 21st and 22nd respectively. So to give you the back half of that, or rather, let's just give you the 20 drivers that are in all together after those two changes. Of course, Garrett Caswell, Stephen Miles, Austin Call, that's official as the top 3. Trey Whitehead, Alex Kroenke are both in. Caden Diedrich, Paul Gallimore, Hunter Hastings, Wyatt Gray, and Jack Simpson. That's the top 10 officially now. Craig Jancic, Timothy Harper, Matthew Taylor, Brian Hennings, Justin Johnson, Rocky Boyd, Cole Larson, Brock Whitehead, Tucker McClendon, and Adam Garza are the 20 cars coming out of dual race number 1. So we did want to go ahead and clear that up. A couple penalties on pit road at the end did not reflect properly in the final results. So Larson and Whitehead are in. Tucker and Merck are out. That is official per race control. So wanted to clear that up before we start to wrap things up here from the Daytona International Speedway. We will start to now transition our thoughts over to dual race number 2. What a race we had here in dual race number 1. We got to get over to duel number 2 quick. I actually thought we had a little more time than we did. We do not. So we are going to have to run over to dual race number 2 as we get ready to go for 60 more laps from Daytona. A crazy one in duel 1. Surely not doing much for the nerves of the guys about to go here for 60 more laps from Daytona. We hope to see you there for more action. We'll lock in the other half of the field of the PGR 500 coming right up after a very short break. It's Michael Triscaro, my co-host. He has run off to do race control duties, so we bid him farewell in that regard, but thank him for his help here on this first portion of the broadcast. Christian Hill, our producer downstairs, always doing great work on the controls. Same with our pit reporter, Tyler Vickery. Appreciate his contributions. You'll hear more from him in dual race number 2. 60 more laps from Daytona coming up from the World Center of Racing as we set the other half of the field for the PGR 500. Garrett Caswell wins duel 1. Who will win duel 2 and join him on row 2 or the 500? We'll see. Right after this short break, don't go anywhere. You won't miss a thing. We're coming back for dual race number 2 of the PGR 500. Half of the field is set for tomorrow afternoon's running of the Great American Sim Race. And now, 40 more drivers will aim to join them in tomorrow afternoon's feature event with Duel Race number 2 live under the lights from the Daytona International Speedway. We wish you now a good evening from Daytona as Elimination Saturday will wrap up with Duel Race number 2 presented by Dad Bod Studios here from Daytona. My name is Dawson Wise. I'll bring in the rest of my broadcast crew here in just one moment. Beforehand, though, do want to take an opportunity to thank all of our sponsors of the PGR 500. You'll see them talked about quite a bit tomorrow afternoon when we get feature racing. But tonight's duels are proudly brought to you by Dad Bod Studios. Built by a proud Christian, devoted husband, and father. When he's not live streaming, you'll find him fishing, gaming with friends, or grinding every day in the fight to keep cancer away. This one's bigger than racing. This one's about faith, family, and never backing down. Dad Bod Studios, real life, real battles, real heart. We welcome you now inside the PGR broadcast booth as we get ready for Duel Race number 2 here live from Daytona. Duel Race number 1, as crazy as advertised, a lot of big names are going home out of that one that I did not see coming, including, of course, Rajah Caruth. He'll be going home along with a host of others that we expected to be racing tomorrow. And as I bring in the rest of my broadcast crew, before we get to my co-host here in just a moment, our pit reporter downstairs is Tyler Vickery. He'll bring you all the action from pit road and track level. And our producer downstairs, Christian Hill, is doing an incredible job so far on the production controls. Look forward to continuing to see him do his work behind the scenes. But my co-host here for Duel Race number 2, coming back for the second time here on this Elimination Saturday, it's going to be Justin Prince in the booth with me and JP. It is setting up to be a very much underdog feel to this PGR 500 tomorrow, and I think that's going to present quite the interesting scenario here for Duel 2. A lot of big names are in this duel, but if it's anything like the last one, a lot of big names will go home, and we're going to have a very underdog-heavy PGR 500 tomorrow afternoon.
It felt that way with the heat races. It's been feeling like that today, especially with the difficulty to advance. But for a lot of these drivers, it's quite simple. Can you execute a pit stop? Can you keep yourself out of the chaos at the end? Can you survive and have the luck to get the track position? It's easier said than done to be able to do that over the course of a duel race. And we've seen that so far here today. For a lot of these drivers in this race, the intensity is expected to stay up because you have drivers that race normally in these PGR events. You have eNASCAR drivers amongst the field. You have multiple drivers that have won these types of money races before on the super speedways. This field is absolutely stacked, but that means nothing if you can't get yourself the top half of the field.
Well, we will get ready to go here in Duel Race number 2. Again, if you missed it, Garrett Caswell won Duel Race number 1 just a few moments ago ahead of Stephen Miles and Austin Cole. They'll start the first 3 spots on the inside lane behind James Bomar for tomorrow afternoon's PGR 500. But we'll now start to head track level as the grid leaves pit road and starts to roll onto this 2.5-mile super speedway. Let's meet the 42-member starting lineup that will contest Duel Race number 2 on the pole by virtue of his heat win and also by virtue of his starting spot here in Duel Race number 2. It'll be Dylan Alt, the eNASCAR NASCAR driver in the first position in car number 47. Alongside him, it's a former winner of the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl and a multi-time PGR winner looking to add the crown jewel of PGR to his resume. Cody Nagels, racing for NBG this weekend, will line up on row number 1 in the second position. Row 2, it's the co-owner of PGR eSports, one of the longest tenured money racing drivers in the field, Matthew Baker, looking to add this race to a decorated sim racing career for him. And alongside him, Charlie Morgan, one of the upset winners of the heat races. He'll start 4th after his win back in heat number 11. Kevin Champagne will go from the 5th position, the heat winner in heat 12. Alongside him, it's John Ellis Jr. in car number 21, another long-tenured super speedway racer. Back in row 4, Zach Davidson, one of the upsets of the week as well. We'll start from the 7th position. It's the Jack Shack's Kenny Reel that will start alongside him in 8th. And rounding out the top 10, it's Kyle Zittel, one of the recruitment race drivers, same as Austin Call. And D3, a former Podium 500 winner, Daniel Eberhardt, starts from position number 10.
Then it's Barrett Polhemus who will switch things over to the 11th position. Funnily enough, his team gave 3 different pronunciations for the same driver. That's how much people love saying his name. Matt Cherry will start at the top 12. Then you switch over to the next tab where Matthew Zwack will start in 13th today, followed by Ryan Chapman. He'll start at the 17 machine for EPI in 14th. Josh Ball will look to have a ball today in the 33 and 15th, with Evan Carlbon in the top 16. Nathan Harper was quick in the heat races. We'll keep an eye on how he is here today, with Larry McDonald right next to him in the 18th position. Then rounding out the top 20 today, the 025, that's Jared Lieber, who's going to be on your next tab. And Dylan C. Jones, expect to be working with plenty of your contenders. He'll work his way from the top 20.
Beating right along, Brandon Bikey, the driver for Beast Mode Performance and Team Watson Racing Setups, goes from 21st. Joey Allen to his outside in 22nd. Row 12 going to be Blake Neer in the 23rd position, alongside another one of the veterans of Money Racing, Danny Barnes, in position number 24. Cade McClenny will go from 25th this afternoon, looking to make another PGR Crown Jewel start. Mike Davenport will carry the Team PGR banner in 26th. Matt Frady starts in 27th, trying to make his first Crown Jewel appearance, alongside one of the LCQ drivers, James Thurston, the 96th, the winner of LCQ number 1. Mike Ardrey goes from 29th in the 09, and it's Asher Little in the 01 rounding out the top 30.
31st today goes to the driver looking to keep their aim focused, Andrew Palesci, alongside Matt Davies, who starts 32nd. Then you fall back to 33rd. These amongst your drivers, mind you, from the last chance qualifier. Kevin Allen with Spencer Burns amongst your top 34. Sean Corbett will start inside the top 35 with Michael Barksdale 36 today. Then at the back of the field, Jaden Newson will start 37th. Devin Smecker in 38th, followed by Zach Novak and Kenneth McCullough Jr., your 40 cars in.
Only 40 instead of the 42 that I thought would roll off the grid here from dual race number 2. A quick note, everyone will move up a couple of positions. You may be noticing a couple of drivers are not on the grid. Kyler Wynn, Jackson Wise, unable to participate in the remainder of this event by virtue of last night's pole shootout race. For now, though, 40 will take the grid. Here in Duel 2, it's time to set the back half of the field for the PGR 500. Dylan Alt and Cody Nagels bring the field into the Simrat Market restart zone. One more race remains to set the field. Green flag is in the air. We're racing from Daytona in dual race number 2.
Nagels marches on forward, leads the outside line, coming down to the back straightaway. Charlie Morgan all over the bumper. 4 or 5 car tandem with Ellis Jr. and Real helping assist that top groove immediately. Momentum swing to one of the best in the business when it comes to the style of racing. The 6, the Pied Piper through 3 and 4. Expect him to block off these lanes. He knows a thing or two about this style of racing, to say the very least.
And also one of the most motivated drivers in the field this week, Nagels wants this one bad in car number 6. He leads lap 1 of dual race number 2. Dylan Alt was to his left elbow, but the inside fades 3 lanes back. Morgan and Ellis doing a good job, being good soldiers for Cody Nagels' top side. They've got another car in behind them. That's Kenny Reel. They have a different look on his car today from what we saw yesterday in the pole shootout for that 11 machine. Still carrying the Jack Shack colors, a little bit different design on that car. Alt leads the inside. Baker is his push with Champagne. Davidson behind them. Now Reel turns left onto the nose of Dylan Alt. Kenny Reel wants to go to the front early in Duel 2. Eberhardt, a little bit different look on his car as well in car number 90 on the outside. As Reel comes to the back bumper, Nagel sees it coming, jumps down to block Reel, but now a bit in no man's land for Cody Nagels. He'll have to pick a lane here off turn number 4. He will choose the outside, block Charlie Morgan. That will bring Kenny Reel even for the lead. Lap 3 on the board. Kenny Reel against Cody Nagels, back down to 1.
Back and forth, they continue to go up in the front rows, but that's not going to change now because here comes Reel. Takes away the inside from Nagels. Dylan all over the back bumper. One of your 2 drivers with World Championship stripes really trying to get the line going. But yet again, the speed just on that outside groove here, especially in the nighttime right now, a little bit stronger for that middle groove. Just able to carry an extra couple horsepower at a couple miles an hour to be able to build up those runs, and that's why the outside continues to control the pace, and the 6 continues to control the lanes. There's the block to the inside for the momentum swing back.
Lower track temperatures here in the dual races tonight being under the lights, under 70-degree track temp proved that the lines that work and that get going for longer. It takes longer for that run to build in another lane for the temperatures to rise underneath the hood of the pushing car. And as such, it's allowed guys to keep more control of the race. We saw Stephen Miles do a really good job of it back in dual race number 1 to lead a lot of laps in that race from both lanes, the middle and the bottom, and even up to the top against the fence. It was a lot of crazy 3-wide racing in that one. So far here, pretty civilized, minding P's and Q's are the 40 drivers in this field. I saw the third line starting to try to organize. It was about 20 cars deep in the field. It was Paleshi, the first car that tried it, but they've all faded back down into line now. And one more jumps out. That's Dylan Jones. White and orange on the outside. He's got the stripes. Brandon Bikey in behind him, the red and white 27. They'll bring Zach Novak to the top side with them. 3 wide starting, 5 cars, almost 6. Back to Ardrey. The rest of the field, for the most part, has singled out. You know, Daniel Eberhardt's not content with that. Eberhardt leads the outside. He's got Charlie Morgan and Matt Cherry, another one of the upsets out of the heat races with him. They'll be joined now by John Ellis.
Yeah, the middle line continues to see people churn to the top. That includes Zach Davidson now joining the fray. You'll see a lot of these swings over the course of this run as drivers try and solidify their track position and get themselves a decent spots before we get to the pit stop window in about 15-20 laps time. For a lot of these competitors here third now, though, it's quite simple. Can you get yourself at least into the top half and keep yourself comfortable? And you'll see that churn happen with Baker now leading the outside, try to build the run. Side traps all, pulls back the inside. Here comes the 5 as some of the others see the third line continue to try and figure out what to do with Zwack now leading it off of 2.
Yeah, the third lane led by Matthew Zwack. Again, the guy that started outside pole in this race a year ago. Now trying to race his way in through a dual race. John Ellis sees it coming. He's actually going to jump up there early. So too is D3 Daniel Eberhardt. To the outside, he'll bring Ellis and Zwack and Jones all to the party at the front. Just as soon as I said it was going to be calm, we are not going to stay calm for long. Reel blocks Ellis. Nagels blocks them all. Cody Nagels sweeps to the outside wall. He throws the block, but that leaves a big hole open on the bottom for Dylan Alt. The Sunny D Chevrolet, a heat winner here this week, will nose to the lead. Ellis goes top to middle on Reel, splits to the center. Nagels will block him instead of Reel against the outside wall. Alt will lead back off 2. Champagne through on the bottom. Ziddle through on the bottom. Josh Ball through on the bottom lane as well. He'll bring Nathan Harper to the party for the first time, but it's not that lane that will prevail. It's the top side. Reel to the lead. Eberhardt pulls clear. Zwack trying to come with him. Those two will drop middle, leave Zwack against the fence with Dylan Jones, and they bring Bikey as Nagel swings middle to bottom. He is continuing to be aggressive early.
Nagels doesn't have any help though on the inside. Alt taking a few moments to get the run. And now just like that, it's Kenny Reel that plays the Pied Piper. Zwack on his bumper down on the front straightaway. 3 wide, multiple rows deep. As the outside group gets 3 clear. Zwack along with Jones join Reel as they move to the middle. Bikey now trying to get some help, and look who's gone from the back to the front. It's Paleshi finding friends and charging up 24 positions already. He now sees Bikey move to the middle. Now it's Zach Novak, who's also trying to come for the back, plus 31, trying to get that track position and work ahead. The NASCAR driver all with the bumper of the Chevy on the high groove.
Yeah, Novak Pileshi coming from the back of the field, of course, coming from the LCQ earlier this afternoon, LCQ number 2. Up front, Zwack gets a run off turn 4. He has made his way down to the middle. Finally, Kenny Reel, though, continues to block and look very good in that 11 Jack Shack Chevrolet, or rather, now they're in Camrys, are the Jack Shack cars, as Reel has, again, updated that paint job just a little bit and moved manufacturers. We heard some things about the Chevrolet throughout the week, having some nose cone issues. We believe that all 3 manufacturers are having them, but there are drivers that are worried specifically about the Chevrolet. Of course, the Jack Shack Chevy team. They've made the switch here, headed into the dual races here this evening. Further back a stack up, that's back around Evan Carlbon, Matt Cherry, and Charlie Morgan. They get it all sorted out. That's going to allow Pileshi and Novak to work forward another couple of rows. But with the middle and bottom lane shifting around as much as they are, the third lane's not been given a ton of opportunity to roll. It's now Pileshi, Novak, Davenport. Newson is back there as well, and so is Michael Barksdale, the big red Chevrolet. Reel continues to lead, already 9 laps up and down. Reel on the outside, Eberhardt on the inside. Baker now going to take a peek out of line in the third lane. The Coasting Thunder Chevy pokes the nose in clean air for the first time. The co-owner of PGR eSports, really motivated to make it into the race tomorrow afternoon. He leads the top on the push from Pileshi. Down the backstretch, Eberhardt still against Reel. Kenny Reel already with some rear end damage. Zwack seeing that and seeing the run from Baker's going to jump up and take it. Reel on the push from Jones. That's going to allow Eberhardt to come clear on the bottom. The push from John Ellis. Zwack with a big run up top side with a push from Baker. Eberhardt beats him to the punch before Zwack could pull down to the middle. But that run in the top is unstoppable. Matthew Zwack to the point for the first time in Duel 2. He'll bring Baker, Pileshi, and Novak to the party with him. They're the top 4 at lap 11.
Continuing to see that outside really streak ahead now, up to the 197-mile-an-hour range to be able to get the top 4 way ahead. Inside Pileshi. Now, wow, Eberhardt tries to work with Reel to regain the ground up on the middle groove. Things are continuing to be very racy up front. Pileshi with no help on the inside after his initial move. Now finds it in John Ellis. Down to the inside goes Novak. Raced last season with 199 when it came to eNASCAR competition. His 2 car pushes his way to second. Zwack now blocks off the inside. Zwack hunts the yellow line coming down the front straightaway. They continue to shuffle as Novak wants to lead, going from the back to the front, from the LCQ to the point. The 2's got the edge.
Yeah, Zach Novak has the edge. By the way, all 40 cars that started are in this lead draft still. Some of them single file along the double yellow line, wanting to stay safe in this early dual race period. And after watching the first dual race, I do not blame them one bit. 49 laps to go, already 12 down, almost a fifth of the way through this race. We're hearing from downstairs from our pit reporter, Tyler Vickery, that teams are already talking about their pit strategies coming up here in about 23 laps. They're talking about strategy while door-to-door in rush hour traffic at 195 miles an hour. That's really impressive to hear that everybody is able to talk about strategy, especially these guys up here at the front that are racing 2 and 3 wide since the beginning of the race. Novak will lead at the line. No, it will go to Matthew Baker on the outside, so Novak denied a lap led there in the 2 machine on the bottom side of the racetrack. Baker leads up top with Eberhardt and Reel in behind him. They've got Dylan Jones in tow. Same with Brandon Bikey, bottom line. Now Baker leads it, but Novak, Zwack, Pileshi, Ellis, and then Nagels are the cars behind him. I noticed that oh man, almost trouble. Novak worked up to push Baker as he worked up off the corner. Zwack, I think there may have been a miscommunication there, trying to go underneath Novak. There wasn't really enough room. Right as those cars unloaded off the banking onto the back straightaway, Zwack and Pileshi had to bail to the apron. They all save it. Baker and Novak go 1-2 into turn 3. They are uncontested for the moment, but Daniel Eberhardt's got a nice tandem push from behind. From Kenny Reel, Baker sees it coming. He'll move up. Baker and Novak still 2 wide. Interesting to me, not as much 3 wide early in this second dual race, still 2 by 2 all the way back.
I mean, the 3 wides worked very well with the drivers in one track position. The thing is, most of this field does not want to push the issue. We're only on lap 14. A lot of communication popping over the radio as drivers go single file at the back. But up front, it's about trying to keep the tempo and march forward. The concern, though, has to be for Reel. Notice all weekend long, notice from the start of the heats, that Toyota for the back bumper is very sensitive to pushes, especially from that new Chevy. And so far, Reel is having a hard time being able to keep up the speed a little bit with that push to the back bumper. We'll see how that impacts how drivers push him as this run goes on. All that's well. Baker again gets the edge down along the front straightaway. The outside still has a little bit stronger momentum to defend. Baker now hugs the bottom to block off Novak's run.
No surprise, Baker aggressive up front blocking, throwing his car wherever it needs to go to keep him out front, although Daniel Eberhardt will work to the outside of him in the 90. Would not be surprising to me if Eberhardt is working with Baker. It does appear that that is the case in this race, so they'll take turns leading the field. Here back down into turn number 3. Eberhardt nosed ahead for a moment. Baker going to get the push from Novak on the bottom side, though. He'll nose back ahead in the Coasting Thunder Chevrolet, red, white, and blue on the inside. Eberhardt, again, the white and teal car on the outside with the gold markings. The 90 and, of course, D3 on the hood of that race car pushed by Kenny Reel. Third in line each way, Zwack and Dylan Jones inside and outside, respectively. Then it's Paleshi and Bikey. Then it's Ellis and Alt. Further back, the first move to the third lane since about lap 10. Josh Ball in the Red Bull Ford Mustang takes a bonsai move up the outside. They're trying to work forward. There are a couple more cars with them. Charlie Morgan is trying to work forward in the 69. There's one more car. I believe it's the Jaden Newson machine. They're trying to work the outside. But again, what I've noticed, unlike in the first dual race, the shuffles here at the front, the timed moves to give pushers time to cool off is keeping that third lane from being effective. Although now, Josh Ball's got some friends, and now that he's got some help up there, they're starting to make some progress. They're just outside the top 15.
The main number when it comes to getting the outside of work so far, noticing 4 or 5 cars in this one. Just 3 so far in the high group, keeping them about even and making, if not slow progress. You see this with Mikey up on the lower screen, by the way. That importance of getting that third car to push the second car, to push the lead car, to maintain momentum that's been so prominent in the next gen cars, stays prominent here. That allows the top 2 to move down. There's the change for the lead. It's Reel and Jones now with it as Mikey gets a heavy push from Alt. Alt with a huge one pushes up to the front, the Beast Mode Performance Machine, all the way to the race lead as they now get clean space on the nose.
I'll tell you that actually started with a 4-car tandem push, and they timed it up as perfect as I've seen all week. It was Cherry into the back of Davidson, into the back of Alt, into the back of Bikey, and that just slammed that front line, that top lane forward. But now it's going to separate here on the entrance to turn 1. Bikey led that lap. No surprise to see him at the front. Another super speedway driver that is very good at this style of racing. He'll go back to the leader off 2. He faced a challenge for a moment from Dylan Alt on the inside lane, the Sunny D Chevy. He's on the nose of Kenny Reel. Outside is now Bikey, Davidson, Cherry, Zwack, and Paleshi. As they work forward, Davidson turns left. He wants to look at the lead here. One of the stories of the week, he and Austin Call, a couple of the drivers from the recruitment race process, both will now take turns leading their respective dual races. Zach Davidson nosed out front, but the outside again proves to be too strong. Brandon Bikey, again for the BMP group, takes the lead at the line by a nose over Zach Davidson. It may have actually been by a bumper. About 11 rows of 2 wide, now make it 12 towards the back. A lot of guys have opted not to be in this lead fray for the time being, but all of the 40 that started this race, no one has lost the draft. All 40 still well within draft range, all within 2.5 seconds of one another. Bikey Davidson 2 wide down the back straightaway, off into turn 3. Bikey Davidson side by side for the lead as guys start to make moves out back. Man, Novak, that was close on the nose of Josh Ball. That was as precise a move as we've seen all week. And Zach Novak works to the outside right behind Newson as Ball transitions to the bottom. As the push breaks up on the outside, Zach Davidson will take a turn to lead a lap.
Going back and forth, and so far when it comes to lead laps, so in this race, 8, 9 different cars have gotten the chance to get to the edge. Davidson now trying to put his stamp on this race as Alt tries to clear on past Bikey. Does Alt want the race lead for himself, or does he take the fuel save? He likes to take the fuel save and take to the bumper for the time being. The interesting thing coming soon we're hearing is pit stops expected, and that's the big thing for a lot of these drivers. Do you take the pit stop very early and the short stop then and hope it stays green, or do you take it late and have the lighter fuel at that point to match up with those who already have been trying to chase you down in a smaller pack? There's so many processes that can come into play. We've seen that pop up last time. And as we make our way up to the front straightaway into 1, Davidson blocks Bikey. They continue to block the lanes back and forth. The leader likes to be the Pied Piper today.
Yeah, but the blocks appear to be a little bit more controlled than they were back in dual race number 1. Not to say that they were too chaotic back then, although this time Davidson will think better of it. He'll jump to the outside, but Cherry's going to abandon Brandon Bikey on the top side and actually give Davidson a shot that will not allow Bikey to clear down to the bottom lane here in turn number 3. Zwack is Bikey's help. Oh man, that push was dangerous for Matt Cherry. They almost got in an offset position right there on the entrance of turn number 3. Bikey back to the lead ahead of Matthew Zwack on the outside. Paleshi is with them, so to is Davenport, Newson, Novak, and Asher Little comes forward now in the Sundrop Chevy for the first time, that all-green car. 6th on the outside lane, make it 7th on the outside lane. Zwack turns left on Bikey. Man, Brandon Bikey cannot catch a break in the 27. Every car that's been behind him has ducked out a line either to his left or to his right. He continues to run up front. But man, every time it seems like he gets to the lead, somebody ducks out a line, although this time Paleshi will be a good soldier for him and push him right back to the point of dual race number 2 as guys out back start to make some moves. I'm watching Joey Allen, I'm watching Cade McClenny, I'm watching Matt Davies back there. There's a couple of cars starting to work their way forward as the pit window gets ready to open. Guys are starting to realize that there may be early pits in, and here we go. Pit stops. It's a big group of them here. Alt, Kenny Reel, Cody Nagels, Dylan Jones, Daniel Eberhardt, Matthew Baker, Josh Ball, John Ellis, Evan Carlbon, Michael Barksdale, and Nathan Harper, and that was as clean an entry as we have seen so far this week.
Would you believe most of those drivers are working together right now? It's not a surprise to see them in sync here as they all work their way to the boxes, try and complete service. No speeding penalties this time.
Yeah, surprising, no penalties. We had a couple of speeding penalties and a couple of spins in the first dual race, and they're going with the early pit strategy. We did not even see cars pit in the first dual race until after the halfway mark on lap 30. This group, though, look at the experience in it. Of course, Dylan Alt, not a normal PGR racer, but a guy that's raced enough eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series races to know what to do. Another huge group will pit right here. This could get a little bit interesting. Kenny McCullough hot on the brakes, trouble. Newson, Cherry, McCullough gets sideways on pit road. Cherry blocks a couple. Larry McDonald gets into it. It's multiple cars that collide on pit road as they all try to get to their boxes. Sean Corbett having problems in the 45 as well. You see him stopped on pit road. Second group, not as clean as the first one. I don't know if we'll have any penalties. We do. Zach Davidson has been penalized for speeding on pit entry. Does not appear anybody else has incurred a black flag. Of course, the spins, though, for McCullough, Newson, and Cherry. And the issues for Corbett, the second group, not nearly as clean on pit road that time.
This is pure disaster. If you're in the second pack, you're talking a lot of those drivers losing several seconds. In fact, there goes some of the drivers that are already in the pitting group. Alt zips on by. Zwack and several others still building up speed on the access road. It's so critical to get slowed up in time with a different cone position you talked about earlier on today. That can really impact how you enter because of how much you wind yourself down much earlier compared to before. And that's caused a bit of chaos. It's worth noting that Alt has blended in front of the best from that group that just pit here, Dawson. And the lead cars, there's only 7 in the main group that are willing to try and stretch it and try something different here. Ran 46 7s, 8s, a couple of them in the 1s last time. Alt and company were in the 2s with them up to speed.
Yeah, really interested to see as well. You saw in the last cycle of pit stops, Brandon Bikey dug his rights into the grass on the front stretch side of pit road. I'm curious to see. We have not heard about a penalty yet, so it appears all is clean. But Brandon Bikey cut it about as close as you possibly can to getting an unsafe pit entry penalty or a speeding penalty on his pit entrance in car number 27. He appears to be okay, at least for the time being. Again, a group on a different strategy here, and this is something we did not see back in dual race number 1. Most of the field has come to pit road. 7 cars are opting to try to run it long. Charlie Morgan, Kevin Champagne, Ryan Chapman, Barrett Polimus, Spencer Burns, Jarrett Liebert, and Blake Neer are attempting to run this one long. And I'll tell you what, they're evening out pretty good on the lap times, although last time now that Dylan Alt and that group is up to speed, this group is losing a few tenths a lap. That time by 46.6 for the leader Charlie Morgan. We will wait for Dylan Alt to cross the line and see what his lap time was last time by. Competitive laps, though, to only have 7 cars where they can afford to run this long. If they do it for too many more laps, I have to imagine it will eventually be a downside for this group, although they're going to catch a group right here. This is not going to help this lead group. They have to split to the middle of some cars that were unfortunate on pit road. That's Allen, Barksdale, and Zittel. They get the rough end of that pit stop for them, and that's going to cost this group a ton of time.
That actually breaks up the lead group a little bit here. Morgan hugs the inside with Champagne. Chapman still trying to clear with the 79. Almost all over the bumper. Now that forces side by side. It's going to cost them a lot of ground, possibly, because there's a lot less energy dispersal in terms of keeping it, or rather more energy dispersal that these drivers will deal with. They rumble their way through 1 and 2. Morgan inside. Chapman still trying to wrap around. These drivers, mind you, with this, are in the 45 still. That's what they ran last time, interesting enough. Speed's still there. Can they now maintain it even with the side-by-side is the huge question. They are 35 seconds up over the next pack as here comes a look at what happened on the pit stops. This caused pure calamity with Cherry spun in the middle of the racetrack into the pit entry, and a lot of people made contact trying to dodge.
Yeah, unfortunate there. Sean Corbett, you see what happened to him. He actually hits a car trying to get into his pit box, and he had already gone past it. So a tough break there for the Sean Corbett machine. Of course, the other guys that got spun around on pit road, they're going to need a caution if they are going to get back into this race. Multiple cars already 1 lap down, by the way. Davidson is one of them. Corbett, Frady, McCullough, Zittel, Barksdale, Allen, all showing 1 lap down, at least on my timing and scoring. That leaves 33 that are on the lead lap as they run right now. This group up front, this is the lead group. And if you're just joining us and wondering why in the world are 7 cars leading the pack, at least of the lead lap group, there are a few lap cars in this group as well. You're wondering why in the world are these guys still leading the race? Why is there no one around them? Well, everyone else in the field saw the Matthew Baker, Dylan Jones, Kenny Reel and company contingent come down pit road early and decided to answer them and come down a couple of laps after to match that short pit strategy. This group, led by Barrett Polimas and Spencer Burns and Jarrett Liebert, is deciding to run the tank out. They're going to run long. What this has created is a situation where they are consistently running better lap times than the provisional leaders once these guys come down pit road. 46-1 last time for the leader, Charlie Morgan, or rather Barrett Polimas, as Morgan has cycled to the tail end of this group. They ran a 46-1. Dylan Alt and company ran a 46-4. Now they're about to come down again and complete another lap. They have singled out, so let's see what that does for their lap time right here. They'll cross the line. Their lap time showing as a 46-2, so they've evened things up in that lead pack. I think they figured out that this lead group got a bit of a toe off some lap cars. They have some more cars in their group. The second group realizes that they have to get more serious about running fast lap times and pushing pace, or this lead group strategy, quite frankly, is going to win out. I'm a little surprised that these guys are running as good a lap times as they are. The numbers advantage is in that second pack. For Kenny Reel and company, they're going to swap pushers right here. Dylan Jones will come forward, so too will Josh Ball. And that's interesting to me. They're going with the swap instead of the send strategy. Remember last year in the PGR 500, oftentimes we saw the second car release the first car to cool off into corner entry, and it kept the momentum better. They're going with the swap strategy in that second group as Kenny Reel goes to the tail end.
Yeah, the main concern, though, is right now those lead cars in general are just a couple tenths quicker. One of the main things we've seen a lot of times is for these drivers, the less cars, you can end up carrying more speed because there is less drivers to disperse that energy through. We've seen that come into play now that they've really single filed out here once again, as we've said. Polimas has Burns letting the car breathe a little bit for the apex. Now gets the exit, gets the push. They're right in the tailwind of Bikey's group, by the way. They're about to get a heavy draft to go even faster coming along to the front straightaway pretty soon, and that's going to make this gap even more bigger. You're talking these drivers 7 seconds behind that battle for 8th pack still on the racetrack. The battle for 8th pack coming into 1. The leaders just now taking the flight stand.
I mean, quite frankly, JP, I'm stunned at how well this is working for the group that runs late. So often in these races, for multiple years, it felt like short pitting was always going to be the winning strategy. But what Polimas and company are showing right now, by just committing to it, not panicking, and getting on the same page and saying, all right, we've already committed, let's run all the way out. What they're doing is actually they're creating a gap. They're likely going to be the leaders. When this pit cycle ends, they'll be able to take just a little bit less fuel than those guys did further back. They can actually cut it way close. They won't have to fill the tank. They can cut it pretty close on their gap and cut down their time on pit road. You see the gap out the front of Polimas. This is, again, one of the groups of lead cars. This is not the lead group, but it's the second group. And now, here comes that group of lead cars. 6 of them will pit here. Everybody clean onto pit road. Polimas near the Burns machine, Liebert, Chapman, Champagne coming to pit road will leave Charlie Morgan as the lone car out. Now, the interesting part for Morgan here is I think that the 69's got some teammates that have gone a lap down that were working with him in this race, at least in some form or fashion, so I think he'll still have cars to pit with him. Being the only car, that's a lot tougher ask as the Champagne group is on pit road. We'll watch the Delta. Here's the second group that is looking to bypass. Polimas and company have already rolled off pit road. A heck of a stop for those 6 cars, and now we'll see if they can beat the Dylan Alt-led group off pit road. All 6 clean off pit road. No penalties to report from that group that just came down to pit road. Dylan Alt and company roll the banking of turns 1 and 2. We still do not see that group with the Champagne, Chapman, Burns, Liebert near cars. Look at the pit stop. What a job and what a call from that group of 6.
But here comes the run from Alt and company. It's got the draft of that top 6. Whole top 6 stay together coming off pit road. Now, Polimas, who just before today got announced as a spotter with Jerry Pitts Racing, looks to try and hold on the inside. Here comes Alt leading the outside. Big push from Dylan C. Jones. Gets assistance from Josh Ball. They zip their way rapidly past the race leaders from the pit stop cycle, and all of a sudden it's Alt up to the point. He controls things. 5, 6 cars from the outside group get themselves clear. That's the thing about building up the speed. Yes, you can get a lot of time Dawson when it comes to the undercut, but these drivers who are already up to speed zip their way on by, and they've built a conga line to get around.
I'll tell you what, JP, it's still very impressive what that group was able to do with half the amount of cars. By the way, they had 7 lead lap cars in that group to about the 14 in what is now going to be the group that's come alongside them with Dylan Alt and company. They had double the numbers, and that group just continued to tick off ridiculously fast lap times. 46.1s, 45s at one point, some of the fastest laps we have seen all week long. So a huge props to that group, and they've now put themselves in a really advantageous position, and here is why. You may notice that Charlie Morgan continues to stay on the racetrack. Tell you what, JP, with that group 2 wide, Charlie Morgan continues to gain a little bit of delta, although I think he may finally be making the trip down pit road. No, but he's caught the tail end of that bikey group and is trying to maintain their draft and maintain the lap times that he was running. So Morgan may make a 1-car strategy work as well in the 69. Beyond that, guess how many cars are in this lead pack now? 19. So if the race were to finish right now, if these guys were to just run it out, they all would lock in to the PGR 500. No one in this pack would go home. The question mark, of course, will be the Charlie Morgan machine. He's losing some delta to the cars behind him. He'll have to come down pit road here shortly. We'll see if it works. For now, all of the guys on your screen would lock in if it finishes like this.
Yeah, that kind of rings to just have a clean race, battle for the win towards the end, keep it simple, don't destroy your race car. The problem is, usually that message gets befuddled, and a lot of people decide to go 5 wide with about 10 laps to go or anything along those lines. It's really just about communication with the drivers. If they want to get their tickets punched with no major drama. Lap traffic is ahead, mind you, by the way. Kenneth McCullough, Matt Brady are just up the road. They're the few cars they'll have to deal with for the next little while in this lead pack. This outer groove continuing to clear cars by. Matt Baker seems to be a little hesitant on what line to go. Can do outside, inside, elects to go outside with a cut, now takes inside. That brings everyone else to the inside except for Nathan Harper. And just like that, some back and forth as there goes the outside again to get around the lap cars.
And some lap cars up in front. That's Kenny McCullough is one of them. The other one is the Matt Frady machine. New colors aboard his machine. They're going to need a caution if they are going to make this happen. And they got the tote. The lap cars to the cars on the bottom. Here comes Polimas. Barrett Polimas wants to swing with Dylan Alt here for the lead. With 22 to go, he'll bring that group that pitted with him. Blake Neer, Jared Liebert, Spencer Burns, Kevin Champagne, Ryan Chapman coming back to the party on the inside as they lap by Kenny McCullough. It continues to be Dylan Alt that leads the way again. You beg the question, has there been some form of communication between these drivers that we are all in if we just finish the race for the final 20 laps? And even if there has, my question would be, how willing is a guy to stay in line? How willing are all of these guys to stay in line and not race for the win? It's the racer's instinct to try to be in victory lane. And you know there's some guys in this field that want to. Dylan All, Matthew Baker, Daniel Eberhardt, Nathan Harper, Kenny Reel. These are all winners at either the eNASCAR or the PGR level. Dylan Jones as well. A number of big-time winners are in this pack that want to go to victory lane, but you start to beg the question, how worth it is it to make a move out of line that could potentially jeopardize my own safety in the race tomorrow when there are almost no stakes in this lead pack again? There are only 19 cars. It goes back to 20th place Mike Davenport. That is all the cars. Everyone else is 10 seconds back and losing time to the leaders. So my question becomes, how worth it is it to race? When you got a spot locked up for now, it continues to be worth it to some of these guys up here. Alt leads back to 3 with Jones, Ball, and Carlbahn. Now the top 4. And Evan Carlbahn takes a turn out of line. That's the Jack Shack colors for him. The red and black 78 on the bottom side of the racetrack will go to the nose of Baker. They're starting to race, JP, and I don't know, with 19 cars in this pack, I'm just not sure how smart an idea it is.
I think a lot of them, for one, are trying to have some fun here, but two, these are really strong competitors that know how to race at a top level and run clean. As long as you don't make some evasive moves that we've seen in some of the heats and some of the LCQs, like try and shove it 3 wide, or see someone slide up and immediately try and take their line and you get the door slammed on you and then you turn them. Anything along those lines, no major mistakes, but there is a car we need to still mention. Pit stops are coming up for Charlie Morgan, who's lost about 2 seconds since the last time we talked about him, net to the leaders, give or take. Morgan is going to have to peel down this time at the edge of the fuel tank, and that's going to be an interesting time coming up for the 69, with this lead group still running in the 46-second bracket. It's going to really shake up coming up when we see the 69 peel down pit road right here. Where is the cut line going to be? Is Morgan going to be in the lead pack? Or is this going to put Bikey and the rest of the pack into a much urgent level, and that changes the dynamic of the second pack if the 69 blends with them instead?
If Charlie Morgan ends up with them, by the way, it's about a 9-second delta between this pack with Dylan Alt, Dylan Jones and company, and the Brandon Bikey pack, which is, again, about 8.5 to 9 seconds behind the leaders right now. If Morgan blends with that pack, we are going to have about 10 cars for 1 transfer spot as they run on the racetrack right now. That would be for the 20th and final position, and how crazy would that be if Morgan blends with them instead? The leaders will bypass Morgan. He's on the apron up here at turn 1. And JP, as they fly by him, it does not appear that that strategy will work. The leaders will blend past him. I think he'll blend with that pack with Bikey, and it will be game on for the final transfer spot tomorrow.
So in our words, there's a simple fact. As things bump and rub up at the front of the field, it's quite simple. That second pack is going to be a lot more wilder, and don't be surprised if trouble is afoot once they reel them in to battle for the final transfer. But as we continue to shuffle in front, Alt runs the bottom, coming out of 4, now moves up to the outside. Jones comes on in. It's worth noting here that of these drivers, the top 5, that does not include Nathan Harper, mind you, in fact it does, make the top 6, are all teammates and are working together in this race. And guess what happens? You get to control the entire way this race can go, and the momentum. These lead cars are continuing to battle it out and trying to make it amongst themselves to win this duel.
Tell you what, it's even more than that, JP. It's the top 9 on the racetrack that appear to be at least somewhat aligned in this race. Again, they're all pretty well regulars. Of course, Dylan Alt is one of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers, but it appears he's on the same page. We saw him pit with this group, so you got to imagine that they are working together. But the other 8 cars, I'm talking about Jones, Everhart, Harper, Ball, Carlbahn, Baker, Reel, and now Nagels, who has dropped to the 10th position as Polimas overtakes him. All of those guys race together nearly weekly on the PGR level or on the money racing scene, and all of them here inside the top 9 are working at least in some form together to make sure they all make it into the race. As we're on board with Charlie Morgan, the second pack flies on by. Game on for the 20th and final spot as Bikey will overtake it. This second pack, all of a sudden, a few laps ago, I don't even think they had an idea that they would be in without a caution, and now the onus is on Bikey and Smerecker and Thurston and others in this second group, that now there's 1 spot available for them with 15 laps to go.
And eventually you're going to see a lot of calamities start to pop up. We're seeing it now. Some of the drivers realize we better go. That's 20th. Allen in Barnes, we're trying to make the outside work. Up front, all with a block, nearly turned around with the 33. Little miscommunication cutting on down. Able to lift off his ball though, that time after the near contact. They continue to work their way through 2. Next car to be lapped, Matt Cherry, who had technical issues running the top groove. They'll zip on by in the next couple moments. Oh wow, the top 3 stay in sync. Harper gets the help from Jones, all gets the help. All of them working their way to the middle of the racetrack once again as they continue to build the runs. All this is going to be where you expect things to get pretty crazy in the second pack, as we allude to, but right now this first pack continuing to churn the wheels, do what they did at the start of the race, carry the momentum runs, use the outside to carry the momentum to control the race lead, and if the bottom comes up for a run, lock it off, continue to work like a treadmill, going back and forth to make sure you control the pace.
But it's 14 laps to go. Next time it will be 13, 48 on the board. Pit stops are done, and we're going to update you on now the situation. The top 19 on the racetrack are in this lead pack. Of course, 20 will transfer out of this race into tomorrow's PGR 500. Well, what does that mean? Well, this front pack, should they all keep it clean and finish the race, are locked in to tomorrow. Now, that's easier said than done. Everyone wants to go to victory lane. Everyone wants the little payout you get for winning the duel. It's about $125, I do believe, for going to victory lane in this duel race. You would profit 4 times your money for what it took to get into this event. So, the win does mean something. It also means you start 4th tomorrow in the PGR 500 and put yourself in a really good starting spot. But at the end of the day, a 200-lap, 500-mile race, it does not truly matter where you start in a 200-lap race, especially once strategy comes into play. Here are the 19 cars in the lead pack. They're in your top box on your screen. Dylan Alt, Dylan Jones, Nathan Harper, Josh Ball, Evan Carlbont, Daniel Eberhardt, Kenny Reel, Matthew Baker, Cody Nagels, Barrett Polimas, Matthew Zwack, Blake Neer, John Ellis, Jarrett Liebert, Spencer Burns, Andrew Paleschi, Kevin Champagne, Ryan Chapman, and Mike Davenport. Those are the 19 in the lead pack. That's, again, that top box on your screen. Here are the cars in the second pack that are in contention. Brandon Bikey, Devin Sprecher, James Thurston, Asher Little, Michael Barksdale, Charlie Morgan, Matt Davies, Kevin Allen, Jaden Newsom, Joey Allen, Zach Novak, Kyle Zittel, Larry McDonald, Danny Barnes, Cade McClenny, and Mike Ardrey. What's the difference between the 2 packs, you may ask? The top box, all of those guys are in transfer spots. The bottom box, there is 1 transfer spot available, the 20th spot currently occupied by the BMP driver Brandon Bikey. Those 15 cars have 1 available spot for them. That changes the dynamic of how they race, and there's trouble! Bikey gets turned! Brandon Bikey around! 1 car into the wall, and the caution flag is out, and hold everything here in duel race number 2.
Was just about to call it, could see it happening. Charlie Morgan nearly turned somebody moving up the racetrack the lap before, and it happens here. All of a sudden, Bikey, who was the 20th place car, brings out the Nazareth 360 Racing Network caution and gets heavy damage. One of the drivers that's looked solid all night will now need some miracles. That was with the huge run coming outside from an already damaged Little.
Oh my goodness, in this front pack now, you gotta imagine there is some serious frustration on board the race cars from 1st to 19th, as now their situation a lot less guaranteed than it was just a moment ago. And it's the BMP driver for TWRS, Brandon Bikey, that is the first car turned out of line that brings out the caution with just 11 laps to go and throws this entire race into limbo. We'll look back at the replay. Bikey was moving up on the nose of Asher Little when this occurred. As Little got on the scene, that second lane had just started to work. It's a big run for Little. Bikey, I think, sees it on time, but the problem is he doesn't quite move up far enough when he goes to block Asher Little and gets turned around in the 27. Right there's Little. Not much choice there for the 0-1. He had to push through him up ahead. Charlie Morgan into the wall. Zach Novak into the wall as well. Damage on those 2 cars. In the secondary exchange, Cade McClenny. Holy cow. How did he stay out of that in car 05? He avoids it, but for Morgan, Novak, and Bikey, disaster. And for the first pack now, they have to catch their breath and in a lot less guaranteed position than a moment ago.
So it goes from expecting things to stay calm for the front of the group to pure calamity coming on up here. As expected, most of the field not going to pit at this point to be able to top off or take tires. Cause a caution, sees the 27 roll down pit road. but everybody else now will have to feel that urgency level pick up. The back of the field's about to get wild. And now, what does that conversation look like? For a lot of these drivers is the question. Now, as they roll their way around, this is going to be where that urgency for many of those drivers and the teams to get some insurance may pick up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we're going to now get into a much different scenario for that first pack. And want to get a word with one of the drivers here under the caution flag. Would love to get a word with one of the drivers in the front pack that has to go through that change in circumstance all of a sudden. Let's get a word with the eNASCAR driver Dylan Alt under this caution flag with 10 laps to go. The driver of the Sunny D Chevy as he leads, well, was leading this first pack. It's actually Carl Bahn that leads him under this caution flag. Now let's get a word with a guy who is not as familiar to PGR eSports as we are used to, but is run well this week and is getting ready to go back under the green flag. We won't take too much of his time under this caution flag. We've got him up here in the booth now. Dylan Alt, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, the first pack, obviously, we know a bunch of you guys are on the same page. We saw the early pit strategy, and it worked to perfection, but now a wrench thrown in the race. Take us through the reaction of the drivers in the front pack as that caution comes out with 10 to go.
Honestly, I was just up in the front working with Dylan, Josh, Nathan, Daniel, a bunch of other guys, and just trying to stay in control. I'm not too much of a plate guy, so I was kind of just listening to them. They were telling me what to do, how to get them to save their temps and all that. So now I kind of lost the lead, but we still have Evan here. I'm going to try to get a good start, stay on the outside, see if I can roll the middle, take the lead again, and see what I can do. But I know it's going to be kind of chaotic here. So just stay out of the chaos and hopefully just stay in the top 20. It would be nice to get a win, but yeah.
Well, talk to us about that. I talked about the racer's instinct a little while ago, but, you know, real quick, obviously some money to the dual winner, but being well inside the transfer positions, kind of just take us through, you know, what the conversations have been like up front. You know, are there guys behind you that are wanting to take the win, or is everybody just trying to content to get in and then focus on winning tomorrow's race, looking at the bigger picture?
What I've been hearing in the Discord call or the voice channel I was in, they were all just worried about making the main event, because that's where all the big money's at. So winning this duel isn't too much. It would be a nice like motivation and good momentum for Sunday. But I'm just looking to make it in, because I know I don't normally win these races, so I'm kind of just expecting either to get wrecked out or just making it in. And yeah, I'm just trying to get more used to this plate racing. So I'm just learning and just watching what other people do. And yeah, just on this race start, I just need to stay side by side with Evan. And I know I have Josh behind me, and he's a good plate guy. So as long as I get a good start, stay side by side, we should have a run down the backstretch and be able to get clear. And yeah.
Well, Dylan, we will let you get back to work inside that Sunny D Chevrolet. Best of luck the rest of the way here in duel number 2. We'll see if we're talking to you at the end of it.
Appreciate it.
Dylan Alt seemed like a little bit of nerves there for the 47. You hear kind of, you know, what I consider to be a little bit of discombobulation, and that's not anything against Dylan Alt. It's just that the race has been completely changed. Again, 5 minutes ago, you were in that lead pack fully expecting to advance without a caution flag, and then the caution flag is drawn, and it's not from the top 19. That completely changes the mindset now, the tone of the race for the final 8 laps. And a tough situation now for these top 19 as they have to completely regroup and get back into race mode with the final 8 laps. 20 miles to go from Daytona in dual race number 2. Back into the Simrat market restart zone. Green flag, single-digit laps left. Who will make the PGR 500? Carl Bahn gets a good start. So does Dylan Alt. Top 6 off and running. Top 8 off and running. Back to Baker and Reel, 4th in line. Nagels jumped immediately off the bottom. One more car going to jump off the bottom is Kenny Reel. 8 laps remain. JP, the race has completely changed. The drivers in the second pack a lifeline. Let's see if any of them have an opportunity here with single-digit laps to go.
Nobody jumping out to make the third line quite yet, but there is a lot of aggression to get the outside moving. Alt gets it working with ball. Eberhardt the third works to help out as well. D3 all over the rear end of the 33 through 3. As so far, everyone just trying to plan in plot. It's worth noting that the second group is starting to try and catch up. Allen, Zittel, McDonald, and several more drivers closing up the gaps after a slow start for them. Will they be amongst the drivers first to make moves? Not quite yet, as they roll down the front.
7 laps to go. You can feel the intensity building. You can feel the temperature rising at the front of the pack as it did in dual race number 1. It'll do again here in dual race number 2. Off turn 2. Oh, trouble! Carl Bond gets turned right in front of the field. Dylan Jones is involved. Multiple cars going to slide into it, and multiple more go spinning out back. Newson, Barksdale, Allen, Cherry, Novak, Allen all come into it. And just like that, 2 of the leaders and dominant cars of the day go spinning into the outside wall. I'll tell you this, what a save for both Dylan Jones and Evan Carlbon. I thought that was going to be a lot worse than it was. Both may very well leave this crash unscathed. I have no idea how.
What was the main talking point coming into the weekend to a lot of races this month? If you're going to push, you better make sure it's square, especially with the recent updates. And in this case, slight offset, I think, struck and caused a lot of calamity, and this is going to completely shuffle that cut line to where on the bubble now is James Thurston in the 20th position, and you have drivers like Baker going to still maintain in the top 5, but it's quite simple off the corner here, Dawson. You better make sure you get a clean bump, and I think that was the case that sparked a lot of chaos with them and Jones. A lot of cars going to pick up severe damage here with a late race caution that will decide how things shuffle for the cut line.
Yeah, tough break there for Dylan Jones and Evan Carlbon, and we'll start to get a look at this offset push. It was right as they came off the banking that they started to get offset, Carlbon and Dylan Jones. It's where the car wants to unload. You're going to hear us say that term tomorrow as well, I'm sure, a couple times. And what we mean by that is the weight goes from on the left side of the car, of course, as you're on the banking in turn 1, to recenter when you come off the bank, and we call that unloading. The car kind of lifts off the racetrack a little bit, not necessarily, again, that you're jumping off the racetrack, but the car is further off the racetrack when you come off the banking. It's a lot more unstable in that moment when you come off turn 2, and I think that's what creates this offset moment between Carlbon and Dylan Jones. Watch here, as from out back, right as they unload, and that's exactly when it happens, is Jones into the back of Carlbon, and that push is just slightly too far to the left and sends Carlbon for a ride. I mean, I can't help but mention, look at the save for Evan Carlbon and the fact that nobody hit him. Goodness, what a drive for Carlbon there. He keeps himself in it. And then in the secondary, you see Allen go around, saw Joey Allen and Kevin Allen. That was a near miss from some severe damage for Kevin Allen and Zach Novak, who gets clipped by Matt Cherry as the field tried to work down to caution speed. Curious to see if Novak hit the inside wall. I don't think he did, but he spun down that way in the red and black too. We'll take a look at him under this caution flag as well. I'll tell you, the drive for Evan Carlbon right there, you can't say enough about it. He lost his track position. He's back in the 30th position, but he lives to race another lap because somehow he got that car straightened out and didn't manage to hit anybody else coming alongside him.
Yeah, and interesting enough, when it comes to Carlbon's case, he did not come down pit road with the damage that he did pick up at the rear end, stayed on the racetrack here with this sequence, but we did have drivers like Novak coming to pit, believe he jumped out of the car though. Not sure if he's going to be done or looking at replays. Morgan did jump down pit road. Kevin Allen did take some repairs in pit road once some of the stops. Look at this up at the front. All sorts of out of shape in front of the whole field for Carlbon. Then is able to straighten it out as they go around. And it's worth noting, they just gave the EOL, Dawson. It's to the third car in line, to Harper for the secondary push, to push the pusher into the back end of the lead car. It's Harper who gets the EOL in this case.
Oh, man, a tough break for Nathan Harper. He'd run such a good race. Now he'll travel to the back of the field as well. Now, the interesting thing about that, though, is they're going to have a couple of those cars back there that are working together. He'll join Evan Carlbon at the tail end of the field, so at least a friendly face back there for Harper when he gets there. But, man, such a tough break for Harper, and his job just got way tougher. Wanted to remind you that all the caution flags this week are powered by the Nazareth 6 Hours of Le Mans. March 7th, 6 hours of strategy, teamwork, and endurance only on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Thanks to our friends at Nazareth for their sponsorship of this week's event, PGR eSports as a whole. Of course, Nazareth had their 500-miler a couple of weeks ago. It was quite an entertaining race. The MRL 500 was last weekend. Now, of course, the PGR 500 takes center stage here this weekend with the feature tomorrow on Super Bowl Sunday. But still some action to go in this dual race, still 20 spots to be filled. Then we can turn our attention to the granddaddy of them all, the Great American Sim Race tomorrow afternoon. Up front for this, what could be the final lap, or final restart rather, of this second duel. With 3 laps to go, it'll be Josh Ball and Dylan Alt on the front row. I believe Alt is the leader as of right now and has elected the outside lane, at least by my timing and scoring. Row 2, Dylan Jones and Daniel Eberhardt. So Jones, despite the involvement in the incident, is going to maintain his position in 3rd. Blake Neer and Matthew Baker will go from row number 3. It'll be John Ellis and Kenny Reel back on row 4. Then Kevin Champagne, who was given a lifeline by that second group's pit strategy, he'll go from 9th. And of course, it's Cody Nagels in 10th. A really strong top 10. But some battles out around the transfer positions. Here are the drivers currently in transfer spots. Andrew Paleshi is 11th. Barrett Polimas is 12th. Matthew Zwack is 13th. Mike Davenport is 14th. Jarrett Liebert and Asher Little 15th and 16th. Spencer Burns 17th. Ryan Chapman 18th. Devin Spricker in 19th. Matt Davies in 20th. Some notable drivers outside the top 20 right now. James Thurston 21st. We talked about Kyle Zittel last night in the pole shootout. He's 23rd. Larry McDonald is 26th. In the 80 machine, Cade McClenny is back in 27th. Evan Carlbon is 30th. Zach Davidson led laps. He's 32nd. Nathan Harper is 33rd. Matt Frady is 34th. And Zach Novak is logged in 36th position. With just 3 laps to go, some guys with some serious work to do. If we know anything from the last race, though, it can all change off turn 4 with 1,000 feet to the line. A couple cars a lap down as well. Sean Corbett, Kenny McCullough, Brandon Bikey remain 1 lap down. Matt Cherry, multiple laps down in 40th. Likely need a small miracle for him to get back into this one. Potentially the final 7.5 miles of Duel 2 are on tap. Dylan Alt and Josh Ball lead the field back into the Simrat mark and restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Alt gets a nice jump on the outside with D3. Daniel Eberhardt is his push. Ball on the inside has Jones and Neer. And as the field rises the banking of turn 1, JP, the time is running short to get into a transfer spot.
Alt works his way on the high side, up through 1. Baker gives the push to Eberhardt to maintain momentum there. All while Ball hugs the yellow line. Some of the drivers drifting up to the 3rd line. I think a few people thinking about it. They don't force it though. Zwack was amongst those thinking about a drift up initially. They work their way down off to turn 3. Alt works his way across. Eberhardt stays. Here comes Zwack. He does force it 3 wide. Zwack gets the run. He's got
triple out back, JP, not to cut you off, but Nathan Harper's gone around the back of the field in the 4 car. A developing issue with Joey Allen as he got out of shape into turn 3, blossoms into a crash in turn 4 that will send us into PGR overtime here in the duel races.
So chaos rings true in the NASCAR 360 Racing Network caution flag. Just like that, some of the drivers that were involved in the last caution get collected yet again. And guess what? It's green, white, checker territory to decide who goes to tomorrow's big 500-miler.
This was again back around Nathan Harper. I actually caught this out of the corner of my eye as it started. Joey Allen got out of line just a little bit, tried to come back down and got turned onto the apron and got out of shape. He actually initially made the save, but then in the stack up behind him, his car's trying to duck out of the way. Nathan Harper got turned in the Dallas Cowboys Mustang. So, you know, the EOL sends him to the tail end, and now this is what can happen. Unfortunately, sometimes the circumstances stack, and for Harper right there, it's bad to worse for the number 4. We'll see if he can continue to rebound in that car. He's got some damage aboard that machine now in the 4, on the rear, on the front, even on the left side door. They're right around where the number is on that machine. Nothing too severe, but he does get turned right there. And he'll be in a much less advantageous position going into the final, what could be the final restart. By the way, we'll tell you about that in a moment. Let's go back and take a look at the replay. Again, this was at the tail end. Watch Joey Allen. Actually, the block by Burns and Chapman starts it, and it stacks up Smrecker and Thurston. And then as Allen tries to bail and go to the bottom to get away from the stack up, he gets into Larry McDonald. It was very late by Allen. And then look at the top side. Actually, it's Harper and Carlbon, the 2 cars involved in the last caution, that get together again. And Harper's going to collect Zach Davidson in that one. Damage on both of those cars. Lucky there that McDonald managed to save that car, or that one could have been a lot bigger than it was.
Could have destroyed a lot more cars, absolutely. But as we are getting to that point of no return situation, urgency level is going to remain ever-present higher. At this point, some of the drivers like Harper's chances are slipping away. Davidson, who we've seen as a contender earlier on in those storylines, you talked about recruitment races down. Charlie Morgan, again, having to come into repairs. A lot of drivers having plenty of damage here in this situation. But up front, things can get crazy. You have some of the drivers like Paleshi trying to make headlines here today. We know Matthews Wax going to want to get the outside line working if he can get there. Bohemus is back there right now near the cut. A lot of drivers are going to pick up that level of intensity to make sure they punch their ticket in, but it's all going to depend on how well these drivers race each other for 5 miles.
Well, the top 10 or 11 cars have been relatively on the same page since their pit stops about 40 laps ago, and they continue to do so. Again, I think the priority, we heard it from Dylan Alt a moment ago, it seems like most of these guys up here realize the situation. They would rather keep care of each other here on this last restart and try to make it into the show, and then tomorrow they can go their separate ways and go to battle, but they're all looking out to try to get each other in the race. They've worked so well together so far. I think you heard from Dylan Alt there, the priority is get in, then tomorrow they can duke it out for $3,000. You got to get there, though, to be able to race for that. I think those guys have realized what is at stake on what could be the final restart of this race. We'll take you through the overtime rules because they are a little different here in the dual races. We did not need them back in dual race number 1. We will require them here in dual race number 2. Throughout the week, there has only been one green-white checkered attempt. Starting today in the duels and tomorrow in the PGR 500, there will be 3 available overtime attempts to the field here to go beyond in the regulation period. This is going to be overtime attempt number 1. Now, the rules are not quite the same in these first 2 overtime attempts as they have been before. These first 2 attempts, if any crash warrants a caution flag, a caution will be thrown and we will re-rack the field for another restart and another overtime attempt. That will happen on this attempt and the next attempt. On the 3rd attempt is when we will initiate the rules from the heat races, last night's pole shootout, and the LCQs earlier today, where an overtime attempt will not trigger a caution and we will race it out under green. That will only be if we require the 3rd attempt at a green-white checkered finish. So anytime here, it will still be like a normal overtime restart in most of the races you've probably watched as we extend the amount of attempts out to 3. What does that mean for the drivers up front and in that second pack on pit strategy? To me, JP, it depends now how close did you cut your fuel tank? Could fuel become an issue if this race extends 8 to 10 laps beyond regulation?
Well, if it does extend in terms of the fuel window, I think for a couple drivers it will be a concern. You're talking 38 laps already to run for drivers like Alt for Eberhard and company. And you have to think the drivers that have 27 laps of fuel, obviously short fueled, or try to match up on the cycle to be able to save time at pit road. So much of this field, if it does extend that far, yeah, would be a concern. But again, the sim says 1 GWC right now. I don't think that's the concern, Dawson. I think the concern is just survival.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, file that under errors and omissions. That was a change this year, I suppose. Last year, 3 green-white checkers all the way through the duels in the 500. This year, I guess a late change. It is only 1, so throw my fuel talk out the window. We are going to run it out right here, and that completely changes the dynamic of this opening pack. It is all to race for in PGR overtime. Scratch the 3 attempts. We're going 1. We're going to finish it right here. 20 in, 20 out. Green flag in PGR overtime. All off and running. Baker with him. The start of a lifetime for the drivers on the bottom as they'll draw 3 cars clear. And notably, Ball is going to stay down to help Cody Nagels, and it's going to even the lines up here into turn 1.
Right now, the momentum building up on the outside. All gets the help from Baker and Eberhard. Oh, wow, Ball continues to work with Nagels. 3rd line starts to come into play. Some of the drivers taking the risk. Few drivers going to the apron, though. A little bit of chaos for Danny Barnes. That was Audrey who tried to use the outside as well. They worked their way out of 3. Nobody making the move yet.
No one making a move quite yet. All Baker, Ball coming back to the white flag. They'll see it right here if they can get back, and we're going to settle it. No crash yet. They're 4 wide out back around Thurston, trying to make it work. At the line, white flag is up, presented by Bender's Bar and Grill.
Final time around as Alt still tries to hold on. Now Audrey gets out of shape on his push. Those drivers need to make a lot of ground, though. They're still back in the mid-20s. Through 1 and 2, they rumble for the final time. Hard side drafting coming off the corner. Alt and Ball back and forth for the lead.
Dylan Alt on the outside, Josh Ball on the inside. These guys for now are all in as they run, but the outside starts to get a bit of a run. Does the inside panic? They do. Davenport comes together with Liebert. They stack up on the bottom, back around the transfer positions. No crash yet. Off turn 4. Alt to the bottom to block Ball. He leaves Baker the outside. They're going to drag race for it. Through the trial for the final time. Alt has it for now. Baker on his door. At the line. Photo finish. Dylan Alt wins in a classic in Duel 2. As out back, it was 3 and 4 wide for the transfer positions.
Clean run to the end with the GWC, and Dylan Alt is able to control things up at the point and the back and forth with the help of Baker on the push. What a good run. Some intense battling for the lead group. A clean ending for just about the entire field here.
And that's a heck of a win for Dylan Alt, let me tell you, because in his heat race, it was a big win as it is. Again, we don't see Dylan Alt a lot over on the PGR eSports side of things, and you heard him himself, both in his interview today, his interview back in his heat race after he won earlier in the week. He doesn't consider himself a plate guy per se, a guy that wins a lot of these types of races, and coming into this one, had not raced against many of PGR's best. Now, not once, but twice he has gone to victory lane this week, and that is a statement for the driver of the Sunny D Chevrolet. And for him to come in and get a win of this magnitude against a field like this, that has got to feel good. It's got to be a confidence booster for Dylan Alt, the driver in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And the curse is officially broken, I would say, as Dylan Alt will break into the field for the PGR 500, one of the only professional drivers to make the field tomorrow as Alt wins Duel 2.
The celebration continuing on. Impressive drive. And again, teamwork making things really click. A majority of those front runners all work together in a lot of these races. I'll share some of the proceeds with one I heard over as well for some of the cases. They made it clear, it looked like tonight, worked together to make the show. They celebrated together on that front straightaway.
Yeah, no surprise to me at all. Again, a bunch of those guys working together, and of course it kind of taking Dylan Alt in to try to get him into the show as well in the 47, and it works basically to perfection. We'll go now to the finishing results from Duel Race number 2. As of now, these are unofficial, but a clean finish likely means everything will be made official. We'll tell you before the end of the broadcast if anything does change. Dylan Alt wins Duel Race number 2 by 14 one-thousandths of a second over the co-owner of PGR, Matthew Baker, who will make an appearance tomorrow in the PGR 500. I believe it is his first start in a crown jewel here in PGR eSports. Josh Ball goes third. Remember the run in his heat race earlier this week with a destroyed race car? How about the payoff for it now? He's going to start up in the 8th position tomorrow in the PGR 500. Daniel Eberhardt will make it in, trying to add PGR 500 to his decorated career resume. Same can be said for Cody Nagels in 5th in car number 6. Kenny Reel last night called for cause of caution in the pole shootout, had to race through the duel today. No harm, no foul, no problem for the driver for the Jack Shack that will carry the banner tomorrow as he finishes 6th. Andrew Paleski goes in 7th. In the 81, the LCQ driver advances into the PGR 500. Dylan Jones recovers from a couple of different incidents here this afternoon, this evening. He'll go 8th. Blake Neer comes out of that race as well, or rather comes out of his heat race and finishes in 9th. And Matthew Zwack will make his 2nd straight PGR 500 appearance. He finishes 10th.
11th spot today going to Kevin Champagne, followed by John Ellis Jr. today, followed once again by Ryan Chapman. Mike Davenport finished off in 14th today, with Barrett Pohimus in the 15th spot. Asher Little, despite all the heavy damage, did make the show in 16th. Spencer Burns, Jaden Newson, Zittel, and McClenny, a part of your top 20. Crucial finishing order for those drivers to make the PGR 500, Dawson.
It was a complete scramble out back for the positions, thousands separating some of these final spots. First man out, unfortunately, will be Evan Carlbon. He nearly drove his way back into the 500-miler. Unfortunately, as of now, he is the first man out. Jarrett Liebert finishes in 22nd, with Matt Davies in 23rd. James Thurston finishes 24th. His miracle run from the LCQ. He won the LCQ earlier today. He'll go home here in dual race number 2. So too will Matt Frady in 25th, as will Devin Smrekar in 26th. No, not to make a second straight PGR 500 start for him. Mike Ardrey finishes 27th. I talked about the curse of being an eNASCAR driver this week. it'll continue in some regard. Of course, Dylan Alt makes it in. Zach Novak not as lucky. He is eliminated in 28th. Kevin Allen finishes 29th. His miracle run, unfortunately, comes to an end. The same can be said for Larry McDonald in 30th.
31st today, that sees things go over to Michael Barksdale. Then Charlie Morgan, he was one of the drivers that tried something different on the fuel strategy with the packs. Didn't work out at all, finished 32nd. Sean Corbett finished 33rd, with Zach Davidson amongst those involved in the late incidents in 34th. Danny Barnes in 35th, with Joseph Allen down in 36th. Nathan Harper was the only driver essentially not in the lead pack. Kenneth McCullough Jr. finished a lap down with Brandon Bikey, and Matt Cherry had technical issues during one of the green flag runs and lost 3 laps. Ends up finishing 40th because of it.
So a tough break for the guys that have been eliminated again. As of now, everything appears to be official. Before we talk to your top 3 here in dual race number 2, I do want to take one look back at this finish, one of the cleaner finishes of the week, and it was a classic up front between the 2 leaders for the win. We'll take a look back, and I just want you to watch the spread of cars when they came off turn 4 as guys tried to scratch and claw for every last position they could get. I mean, they spread 3 and 4 wide. Look at Champagne throw it out of line, out back of Ellis. Again, by then, you figure he was safe, and that did appear to be the case. He finishes 9th. Ellis ends up getting split in the middle. They're 3 wide back around the Zwack machine. But up front, Matthew Baker, if it was Talladega, if he had about another 1,000 feet, maybe even a little bit less than that, it would be Matthew Baker going home with the win. But again, perfectly content, I think, to ride second. But look out back. 3 wide, 2 rows deep, even further back around the Davies machine. That's around where those transfer spots ended up being. It was all over the place between those cars trying to get in to the 500-miler.
And you have to respect how well they ran things out at the very end of this one to be able to make sure they advanced through and battled it out. A little bit of contact after the caution flag at the back of the field, but it quite simply, for those up at the front, they knew the case that they were going to be in as long as they kept themselves out of any trouble when there was a 3-wide move. And the 3-wide move just never really solidified, Dawson. That really helped punch the ticket for a majority of the drivers up at the front, since that back just never was able to get anything materialized up against the wall.
Yeah, very tough break as well. It was very close to the 20th and final spot, by the way, between McClenny and Carlbahn as well. You saw that towards the tail end of the front pack. Well, the top 3 are ready for us, so let's talk to them. Here are the top 3 in dual race number 2. We'll start first the man, ironically, we just talked to a few moments ago. The driver of the Sunny D Chevrolet. He's in PGR dual race victory lane. It's the driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Dylan Alt, as he wins dual race number 2. Dylan, we just talked to you, but do you have a copy in the broadcast booth?
Yeah, I have a copy.
Felt like we just talked to you a few moments ago, but it all works out. You talked about just wanting to get everybody in the race. It looked like things worked exactly to plan. Take us through the ending of the race following the caution. How'd you guys execute and get all of your cars into the PGR 500 tomorrow?
Yeah, that last restart, Matthew was just telling me, hey, you should just go early in the box, move up in front. We'll get clear, be in front of Daniel. We should all have the outside line rolling. So it was all a team effort. I can't thank them enough, because honestly, if I wasn't working with them at all, I probably wouldn't even make the show. But yeah, stay up front, and then I was just getting pushed the whole time. And eventually, once Matthew got hot, and we all wanted to move the bottom, Matthew was telling me, oh, go bottom, because the bottom was kind of rolling. And then once he got hot, still pushing me through the center of 3 and 4 on the final lap, he moved up, and I was like, oh okay. I feel like he was just leaving me out to dry, kind of. But I didn't want to move up and block and have a whole wreck happen, so I kind of just let him have it. And it was a lot of good give and take, because he didn't come down and start side drafting me a ton, and I got a huge bump from Josh and to keep the run on the bottom going, and I think the outside line just didn't get going, and yeah, I ended up winning the race off of that. And yeah, just got to thank all of them for helping me. It was a ton of fun, and hopefully tomorrow I can keep that momentum going. And I think I'm starting up in like 4th or something like that, the 2nd row for sure. So hopefully I can stay up front for all 200 laps. I had a good pit stop in the duel, but I almost sped, honestly. I had the brake bias way too high, and I was entering pit road like 10 or almost 15 miles above the speed limit. So yeah, that was a very scary, but yeah, it was a flawless race.
Pretty flawless race from you guys up front indeed. Look, we saw some pretty crazy racing at times tonight in both dual races, and I'm sure you guys have had a chance to go back and watch Duel 1 as well. We're keeping up with it. And I asked Stephen Miles this question earlier after Duel 1. And it was, what is the expectation for the racing tomorrow? What can we expect from tomorrow's race in terms of the tone and the aggression at the front of the field? Can we expect more of this duel race? Are the drivers kind of, talking about taking it easy tomorrow for the first little bit? What is the vibe you're getting from drivers as we head into tomorrow's feature?
I feel like so far this event has probably been my favorite so far. Not because I've been winning the heat and winning the duel, but I've done like the podium 500 and all those different events, and I feel like this has been very well done. I feel like everyone has some give and take. There's not much arguing and not much complaining and all that stuff. Actually, we're having green flag runs too. That's a great thing where we're going to actually pit and all that. So I'm just fully expecting for the 500 tomorrow we're going to have some green flag pit stops. A lot of people usually at the beginning of the race, there's a lot of single file running and just kind of just fast forward the time, just chit chat and whatever. But then the last half of the race or 3/4 of the race in, then we're going to start racing hard, like the heat races or the duels or the end of the duels. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be fun. A lot of give and take. The drivers are actually very clean. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to it as well. One more thing for you. Obviously, you now get to look forward to tomorrow. You'll start 4th tomorrow afternoon in the PGR 500. So as we start to transition to the feature now, what is the game plan for you looking forward, and what is your confidence level that you can complete a bit of a weekend sweep and win your heat, your duel, and the 500 tomorrow?
I'm just trying to build chem with the guys I've been working with. Just learn from them. Just the communication's been great. It's been a lot of fun talking to them, and yeah, I'm just gonna try to stay up towards the front. Don't make any mistakes in pit road. I need to communicate well with them for everything to work and be smooth, and also just staying out of all the chaos. And yeah.
We are certainly looking forward to it tomorrow afternoon as you'll roll off from 4th tonight, though. A trip to victory lane for you once again. Your second win of the week, won your heat race earlier. Now you've won dual race number 2. You'll start 4th tomorrow. So before we let you go and start to get prepared for 500 miles tomorrow afternoon, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Just everyone that was working with me. I know it's a ton of names, but yeah, you guys for broadcasting, everyone that's put this whole event together. It's been a ton of fun. Yeah, I just want everyone that I have worked with. I just want to thank all of them, and yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
As are we. Dylan, thanks for talking to us here for a second. Congratulations on the win here in dual race number 2. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We will see you tomorrow for 500
Thank
miles.
you. Appreciate it, man.
Dylan Alt, your winner from Daytona International Speedway here in dual race number 2. We'll move to the man who almost beat him back to the line, made a late move for the win, but I got to imagine is very much happy to be in the event tomorrow and racing in a PGR Crown Jewel. It's the co-owner of PGR eSports and the second place finisher in Duel 2. My partner Justin Prince stands by with Matthew Baker.
Yes, indeed, Matthew. Talk us through those late stages here on this one as you work to try and battle for the race win, and also work with a lot of your fellow friends to be able to solidify the top spots.
I really hate when everything goes right with pit stops. You execute like you're supposed to, and you're in a transfer spot where you can just ride, and the wrecks happen. But that's just super speedway racing. That's how it goes. So, you kind of pucker up whenever that happens, and you see the late race caution, especially when you're trapped on the bottom. But we were able to power through it, and we just kept telling each other, we're all in. We're here. Do not panic. That was the biggest thing, is don't panic again. And again, I approach this race just like the pole shootout last night, just like my heat races. Is just have fun. I have people that I love working with. I love people that I love racing with in my Discord. I had a couple new people in there. I've never raced with Alt before, and it was good to race him. How respectful he raced, especially there at the end. But that's the main thing, is just coming out here and having fun. Yes, we're racing for a lot of money. This is some of the best racing we've had in a long time. You can see it in the 2 duels with the long green flag runs. So I'm hoping Sunday it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, when it comes to all things in these types of racing, how is it in terms of making sure you keep control like that as a pack to be able to make sure as a grouping of drivers you basically dictate the tempo? It's been one of those types of weeks where it seems like if you get teammates in front, we see how they're able to just cycle in front like we did tonight.
Yeah, I just think you're going to see the dial get cranked to 1,000 whenever you're putting, $10,000 on the line here with $3K to win. It's gonna You're gonna see people that are friends, or you have people that are teammates that want to go for that trophy. The 3K is great, and they do with that what they will with teammates. But not many people get to say, one already with Daniel Falkingham, that you're a PGR 500 champion. Last year we set out a mark to make it a marquee event for iRacing and a marquee event for everyone to see. And we've achieved that here with 336 drivers. So I really think you're going to see the dial crank up, and a lot of people that are friends making moves that aren't too friendly, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
So I kind of emphasize the tone you expect to be sent tomorrow. So let me ask you this. What would it mean if you were the one who actually got the win in the very end for the PGR 500?
It would mean the world for me. You'd see a reaction, close to Cody and ERA or Falkingham for the 500 last year. Maybe a little bit of tears, but that's getting too far ahead of myself right now. We got 200 laps, 500 miles tomorrow to go and get it done. And I got the best team around me to get it done. It's unfortunate Merck didn't make it through the first duel. I feel bad for him, but to get the team in a spot where we have a chance to really pocket home some money and try and call ourselves PGR 500 champions, I wouldn't be able to do it without them. So I'm very excited for tomorrow.
Anyone you want to give a shout out to real quick before we let you get going?
Yeah, again, like I said in the heat race, you got the co-owner in here, so you're going to get all the shout outs. Just thanks to my primary sponsors. You got Coasting Thunder, MVG Motorsports, Baker and Son Construction. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, towing company, Chris Blanchard. It's done a lot for this community, put a lot in, hasn't asked for anything in return. Really appreciate him. Flying Aces TV, Chris Carter Racing, Team Watson's setup. It was a very, very great setup tonight under the lights. This setup is unbelievable. I wish we could change the 500 miler to at night because of how good the racing is, but we'll see how it advances there during the daytime. Thanks to Dadbod Studios, Simrat Market for jumping on for the restart zone. Really appreciate them. Vendor Sports Bar and Grill. Thanks to Nazareth 360 for their sponsorship as well with the cautions. They've probably got the most screen time. Thanks to you guys in the booth, Christian for producing, my teammates around me, Mike and I for putting this whole thing on. We've probably been pulling about 60 hours this week, getting this all done with working as well. So really appreciate everything him and myself have done behind the scenes. And thanks to the family watching back at home. My grandma loves watching this. Just one spot short. Wish I would have side drafted a little more, but we still take that second place and a good starting spot for the PGR 500. Oh, and also to my wife for dealing with me this week. It has been a long, rough week, I tell you that. So next week we're gonna celebrate down in Daytona, go to Disney, and then head up the real 500. Really excited.
Well, congrats once again on the top 3 finish here today, Matt. Once you get back to your team and back to the preparations for tomorrow.
Thanks, brother.
Matthew Baker gets second place here, Dawson, in this one. Third spot went the way to Josh Ball. His 33 machine was able to get the top 3. He's standing by.
Yeah, Josh, it's the voice in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, look, a wild one here at Daytona after the caution flag flies with about 19 laps to go, and looked like you guys were well and home free to make it into the 500 miler. You have to regroup and work together, but it still works almost to perfection to that group working together up front. A bit of a crazy finish, but not as crazy, I think, as we're used to in some of these races. How did you execute? How did you finish in the third position here in this dual race number 2?
Yeah, it was really all about that first pit stop when we all went down together and, got out pretty good. I think we were third in line and, we were able to pull on the second pack for a long time and, just kind of stay in line. We knew that we only had like 19 or 20 cars. So we were just hoping it was going to stay green until the end and then just race it out. But, obviously nothing ever goes the way you think it's gonna. So, that caution would tend to go. Everybody kind of just said, look, we're in the right spots. Just don't wreck each other. We just keep in keep in your lines. We'll try to go for it at the end if we can. And, that's kind of what we did. There was a little incident there on the backstretch with, I think, 4 or 5 to go. Some bad pushing or something happened. But yeah, otherwise it went pretty good.
Went very well, I would say, for you. As you finish in the third spot, you'll start up in the 8th position tomorrow afternoon for 500 miles. And look, a bit of a roller coaster here for you so far this week. We saw you lead some laps in the heat race. You get collected in the big accident. You have a ton of damage on your car. You manage not only to contend, but to continue to run up front with a car that, arguably should not have even been close to the transfer positions. You make it into this race. This race goes nearly to perfection for you. Just take me through the roller coaster of emotions that's led you to this point, now locked in, ready to go for 500 miles tomorrow.
Yeah, through the couple of heat races, we had noticed the front was kind of the safest to be. So that was kind of the idea in the heat races, was kind of be up there if we could. We didn't really have anybody to work with too much in that race. So the one guy that I was running with, he was way in the back. So, but, a couple guys behind me that I at least knew of. And yeah, we were running up front, and then we got turned, and we had some damage. And then Dawson, I know you didn't like my call, but I stayed out because I was like, it's a green white checker. What do I have to lose? I'll just try to stay on the bottom and get pushed. And luckily that's kind of what happened. We made it to third, and then we made it to tonight and third again. So.
Well, it works out pretty well for you, I would say. Look, we look now to tomorrow. Eyes on the PGR 500. You've got some friendly faces with you in the field. What is the game plan to get yourself $3,000 and call yourself a PGR 500 champion this time tomorrow?
I think it's more of the same. We're going to need to work together as a team through most of the race and just, be there at the end. That's really what it's about. If you're within the top couple at the end, race for it. But otherwise, try to put everybody else in contention as well, and don't screw yourself or your teammates. So, when it comes down to that 3,000 on the last lap, I'm sure there'll be some moves, but we'll see. Hopefully we can get through it and get the W. But, I'll take another third. If I can get third, I'll be happy with it. But, P1 would be better, but we'll see what happens.
We're looking forward to watching the Red Bull Mustang tomorrow in the PGR 500. Before we let you go and start to prepare for 500 miles tomorrow afternoon, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out after this third place finish?
Yeah, and I know Baker told me to shout out a bunch of sponsors if I got an interview, then I got one, and I'm like, dang, I don't remember any of them. But obviously, everybody here, putting on the event PGR. I know NASRA with the broadcast. You guys, Dawson, Justin, everybody here, Tyler, Baker, and Triscaro for putting it on. Sorry if I butchered that name, but and all the teammates out there tonight, Nightmare, and everybody that was there. Yep, appreciate it.
I appreciate you for talking to us, Josh. Congratulations on the third place effort today. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We'll see you tomorrow for 500 miles.
Thanks, Dawson.
Josh Ball finishing in the third position tonight from Daytona. And as we start to turn our eyes now away from the preliminary races, everything is complete. The field is officially set for the second annual running of the Great American Sim Race. And I'll tell you, as we get closer to this event, as we've seen this field take shape, the underdog story, I think, was more present in Duel 1, JP, but in this Duel number 2, a lot more of the names I think that you'd expect to see will line up on the grid tomorrow. It's going to be a really nice mix, some really intriguing storylines headed into a 500-mile feature tomorrow afternoon.
Absolutely, especially when you think about in this duel, a lot of strength coming out of it, where we expect a lot of these drivers to find their way to the front and really control things throughout the course of Sunday. I think it's going to be an interesting power dynamic, in particular, to see who can break up that group, who can really, in particular, streak their way to the front and put their stamp on this race. And really, knowing there's going to be 200 laps, 500 miles, expecting things to be much more tamer with a lot more time to make decisions over the course of the race. It's going to be a fun time, to say the least, for the PGR 500. The question will be, who will win said race?
Well, 500 miles await us tomorrow to find out the answer to that question. So many intriguing stories, so many drivers that you'd argue could be worthy of that win. Only one can crown themselves a PGR 500 champion, only the second ever in the history of the race. Or maybe we'll still only have one. Remember, Daniel Falkingham will start on tomorrow's grid as well due to his provisional. Could he go back-to-back and spoil the party for everyone trying to win their first Great American Sim Race? We'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. Before we leave tonight, I want to give you some logistical details for tomorrow afternoon as we get ready to go green from Daytona International Speedway. Tomorrow's broadcast will go live around 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the PGR eSports pre-race show for the second annual Great American Sim Race, the PGR 500. Green flag time scheduled for just after noon Eastern, an hour earlier than last year. Last year's race going a little bit later. Tomorrow being Super Bowl Sunday, of course, the race will go green an hour earlier, right at midday on the East Coast, right back here on PGR Esports Network. But we do have some huge news to announce here tonight, officially on this PGR Esports broadcast. For the first time ever, tomorrow afternoon, PGR Esports goes mainstream, as tomorrow's PGR 500 will still be streamed here on PGR Esports on YouTube. It will also be simulcasted by the official iRacing.com YouTube page. That's right, mainstream eyes on the PGR 500, a huge reach tomorrow afternoon. We are so excited to be able to announce that news, and so humbled, so grateful to be able to have this opportunity tomorrow to have a fresh new set of eyes on this incredible product. This event tomorrow afternoon, sure to be a monumental, groundbreaking moment for the PGR Esports promotion. And, for me personally, incredibly lucky to have seen the growth of this promotion to this point. Tomorrow will be a huge day for all of us at PGR Esports, and we are looking forward to it. I'm glad we can finally give you all that news here tonight on this broadcast. So, while we would prefer you watch here on PGR Esports, of course, the official iRacing page will simulcast tomorrow afternoon's Great American Sim Race live on their page on YouTube as well. We are so looking forward to that, and so looking forward to having you along for the journey. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, folks, these were only the dual races. We will go 500 miles tomorrow. It's finally here. The field is set. The preliminary races are over, and all that's left now is to run 200 laps at the World Center of Racing to determine who will be the second Great American Sim Race PGR 500 champion. I want to thank my broadcast crew from across this week that you will not get to see tomorrow. I want to thank our producers throughout the week, both DJ Lyon and Christian Hill. You'll see Christian's work tomorrow as well, as he'll be back on board with us for 500 miles, taking you through all of the action. I want to thank him for his work. Tyler Vicker will be with us tomorrow, as well as our pit reporter down track level. Of course, tomorrow being the longer race, Tyler's got his work cut out for tomorrow, but want to say a quick thank you to him for his work so far this week. Want to thank my couple of co-hosts that will not get to join me tomorrow afternoon in the booth. Of course, series owner Michael Triscaro, now with Matthew Baker making the race. Michael Triscaro going to have to go up into the eyes in the sky, the race control tower, and take care of some things logistically in the race. Want to thank him for his contributions to the event, and also specifically to our broadcast this week. Of course, for Duel 1, the LCQs earlier, and the heat race last night. Mike does a whole lot of work. He's got hands everywhere in this thing. And, of course, now thank you for him for his contributions. And I want to thank my co-hosts from tonight and also from throughout the week, Justin Prince. A pleasure to get to work with him. Again, looking forward to continuing our chemistry in the booth here in a couple weeks when the Moonshiners Racing League returns on Wednesday nights. And want to thank Austin Green as well. You'll hear Austin's voice back on the broadcast tomorrow afternoon as we bring you 500 miles of action from Daytona. That will just about do it for us from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. The dual races lived up to the billing and has set the stage for an all-time classic tomorrow afternoon on these hallowed high banks. We certainly hope you will join us. We thank you for joining us tonight. Want to thank all of our sponsors again one more time as well. Our title sponsors, of course, including that towing company and Chris Carter Racing and the Flying Aces, our associate sponsors, NBG Motorsports, and Dad Bod Studios, who had the sponsorships of tonight's dual race. I want to thank the NASRA Racing Network as well. The NASRA 6 Hours of Le Mans, I want to thank them for their sponsorship. You'll hear them tomorrow. Bender's Bar and Grill as well for their sponsorship of the White Flag. Sim Rat Market for their sponsorship of the Restart Zone. We could not have done it without the many partners and all of the drivers that have shown up. We are grateful to them. We are grateful to you for watching. And we will see you all tomorrow afternoon. It's time to crown a PGR 500 champion. We'll do it tomorrow from the World Center of Racing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you tomorrow afternoon from Daytona for a history-making race in PGR Esports long-term history. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
When you're looking for a setup and a community that stands behind it. Team Watson Racing Setups. Serious setups. For drivers who are done guessing.